should be 100% legal. In fact, and this is going to be a real hot take, I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child pornography should be illegal. Actual child pornography.
So yeah, that's fucking gross. I mean, he said that same thing like 5 times, yet somehow we're supposed to believe that it's not incredibly suspect that he would bring that up so much for some reason. Like, I'll tell you right now, no one who is not like a secret pedophile would say anything like that. Maybe like once, like as a joke or something, a really shitty joke, but not like 5 times consistently over the course of a year. Now, he stopped saying this since then because he realized how absolutely untenable it is for him as someone who wants to make money online to keep saying shit like this. So he's tried to dial it back. There's so much more. He said that exact same thing so many times. It is beyond suspect.
What if CP is free? If you're not paying for child pornography, then there is no argument in favor of morally condemning people who get it.
Jesus, man.
Attached to them. I assign this to literally everything. I don't even think that like owning child pornography is immoral because it also.
Like, there's no context where anything that he's saying here is remotely not suspect, okay? There's nothing. You can say, clip chimp. No. Normal people don't utter the words that he's uttering here. This is not a thing that people would ever even think to say unless they actually think this. Normal people do not think about the effecality of owning child pornography. Even having this thought indicates this guy is probably a pedo. I'm sorry.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
Disbelief in super chats. I would not say that it is unethical for a person to purchase child pornography or purchase blood diamond.
And he makes that comparison between child porn and blood diamonds, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because obviously, you can never have ethical child porn. You could have ethical mining of diamonds.
Chaos $5. So when you said people purchase child porn, does it that people sell it or no? No, not instantly. I don't think that you should morally impugn anyone who purchases child porn for the same reason I wouldn't want to be morally impugned for buying clothing from companies that like use.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
However, those who produce and sell the child porn, that is an entirely different question.
But like these are not things that you say unless you are invested in child porn being morally illegal in some way personally, okay? If BO6 fans saw this level of evidence for someone being like a covert pedo, for basically anyone they dislike, they would absolutely accept it as more than enough. Yet instead, because it's their fucking Wikipedia reading stream daddy, they defend this shit, this absolutely abominable shit.
Ethical industry.
Got you fuck.
Do you think it's immoral to be a pedophile, and it's only immoral if you rape? What? No, being a pedophile is morally neutral. It's just it's hella immoral to rape, though. That's not good.
BO6 said here, there's a difference between exploring child sexuality and sexualizing children. He's been bringing this up since before he was a streamer. This is from 2017. He's been on this train for a very long fucking time. This is not normal. Anyone who does not think about child porn often would talk about it this much. The only time that I've actually ever even thought about child pornography in the last 2 years is because of BO6. Because BO6 talks about it. The only time that I talk about it is in regards to BO6 defending child porn constantly. That's normal person shit. This guy, though, he's been for years and years and years. He talked about it
Communism
openly.
is based.
Did pretty much everything aside from outright saying that he likes kids himself, and then only stopped doing so once he realized that it was looking pretty bad for him in terms of his online profile. He made a funny joke about owning child porn. He said there is no... Oh my god.
Bring ourselves back to the t-shirt. It's like a lot of you guys aren't even old memers where I talk about how there's no real difference between buying a t-shirt and buying child pornography.
I mean, that speaks for itself. Like, his fans always look at that sort of clip and they're like, oh no, it was just, he was making a comparison between this exploitation involving both, blah, 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 blah. What he's saying there, he's trying to equate owning child porn with normal things like owning a t-shirt, right? It's like the same thing as if I were to say like, oh, the Holocaust is the same as me having to get a COVID passport, right? In that respect, I would be diminishing the significance of the Holocaust and making getting a COVID passport sound far worse than it is. So when you compare buying a t-shirt to buying child porn, what you're doing is normalizing buying child porn. That's why he's saying that, trying to make it seem less bad than it really is. God, this is the best Christmas ever. Next thing, like, this is long, man. There's a lot of material here. Like, this is like another great thing, right? As a creator, I don't have a history of saying of anything like this. I must be the only fucking one, because it seems like everyone else has this shit just lurking in the back. He gave an applause emoji to someone saying that they are sexually attracted to 11-year-olds. No, someone saying that they rape 11-year-olds. Vosh gave an applause emoji. Great. He asked if anyone had ever had sex with a minor as an adult. Replied saying that when someone had said that it was unironically hot. Asked someone, what have pedophiles ever done to you? This guy identifies himself like ironically as a pedophile and like tries to reduce the severity of owning child porn, like the moral severity of that, so often, so consistently, or at least he did before he realized it was bad for his brand. And it's such a long history of it that you can't look at this evidence and say that there's not something fucked up going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if this would be probable cause for like a fucking FBI raid or something. If someone kicked him off, like, honestly, what the fuck? There's so much here. Ask someone, what did pedos ever do to you? Referred to Salem pedophile trials. Oh my god. Joining a conversation about child sex bots. This is why I come here, he said. Because he said that his professors never talk about pedophile sex bots.
Do you believe porn, which includes bestiality, increased the prevalence of zoophiles?
Oh, this is like the context of the earlier clip that he watched, just so that he can't say that it's taken out of context.
Possibly, but I still don't think. I still think that like zoophile porn, like drawn stuff, it should be 100%. In fact, and this is going to be a real hot take, I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument for why possession of child pornography should be illegal. Actual child pornography. How's that for a hot fucking take?
This is not normal.
Now to clarify on this, I feel it's necessary to do so. We do not, in this country, typically criminalize people who have procured media or resources which were the product of abuse. It is not illegal to own necklaces that have slave diamonds or whatever. What are they called?
I've said this before, but obviously this is such a dumb fucking argument. This guy considers himself like an argument king or something. It's so fucking funny. Like, all we have to do to counter this is to say the exploitation isn't the product. In child porn, the exploitation literally is the product. People don't like watch videos of diamond miners being worked to death and enjoy it. The diamond is at least for them, it's disconnected from that. That's not why they buy it. That's the fucking difference, you dumb fuck. I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm not going to watch the full thing. Like, there's no argument here that isn't just him trying to equate two things that are not even remotely equatable because he wants to make child porn seem more acceptable, because from the looks of it, there's very good probable cause to believe that he's a pedophile. I will not say that he is yet because we don't know for sure, but I mean, most people, if they were able to disconnect themselves emotionally from someone with this amount of dirt right out there, such a long history of like apologizing for or identifying with pedophiles or like child porn and stuff, defending it, and what he's doing there is a defense, make no mistake, you would think that they were a pedophile. You would assume that they were a pedophile. The only reason to think otherwise is because you like this creator. It's more than enough evidence for anything like anything short of like an actual judicial proof, like an actual court conviction. This is more than enough. Like the average person in Warsh's community, if they saw this exact same evidence, but for Destiny or someone who they didn't like, you know, like fucking Caleb Morpin or someone, they'd be all over it. It's only because it's Vorsh that they're not. Vorsh used to have a Twitter where he shared drawn child porn. He's also said that the age of consent should be lowered under socialism. There's no context where that is not fucking weird. Apparently there is an archive link proving, oh my God, like, is this explicit? I don't want to click any of these images, but this is like this account. So this is the proof. I wasn't aware that there was actually proof of this, but Vorsh's account, which he admitted to owning, I'll go over the link where he admitted to owning it, like a secondary Twitter account that he used, and he linked it on Reddit from his old Reddit account, Irish Laddie. It was called Smash Boy. This is an archive, you know, has the Vorsh avatar. He linked it. It was clearly his. And someone went through the likes on that account and found him liking a bunch of drawn child pornography. Okay? The abundance of evidence, the compounding evidence here, This makes me fucking sick. There's more than enough evidence for anything short of like an actual judicial case against him. You know, a judicial case against him would be made from like a fucking raid and seizure of his hard drives that would come from the probable cause, and this would be the probable cause. All of this. Honestly, I'm not a cop, but this seems like probable cause to me. That Twitter, its likes, and the clear proof that it was really his, that is the most explicit evidence out of all of this. And yeah, I do know, as someone saying in chat, I do know that Vorsh has been trying to sanitize his image in the last year or so, ever since this became a big thing, because like he realized that it was becoming incredibly inconvenient for his internet personality, the way that he makes money. So now he's been really going into overdrive against pedophilia, against it. He's just completely done a 180 on his previously stated positions. But I mean, it's clearly performative, trying to absolve himself here, because just look at what he was a couple of years ago. It's disgusting.
Oh, I banned after he left. Okay, I don't really care. Listen, I'm a creature of the moment. I had the debate and I had a good time. It's done now, and now we're watching Louder with Crowder.
The idea being, it's okay for him to want to bang kids as long as he doesn't actually bang kids. And of course, he never would. Wink, wink. Except Nickerson posts he would have sex with kids if we just lived in a more sex-positive society.
Always maintained if we lived in a different, more sex-positive society, and if it were legal to do so, I would engage in sex play with a child if she wanted it, and I initiated it. I will never deny that. Okay. So it seems to me like the op-ed interview, sort of life piece they did on this guy, left is well on its way to doing just that. Okay. I still don't see how this invalidates this still has literally nothing to do with the left promoting pedophilia. It was just them giving a voice and taking a look into the life of a pedophile who does not offend, or allegedly doesn't offend, I suppose. So again, this has nothing to do with his point principally. And it should be said, and I'm not getting into this right now, that from an anthropological standpoint, we have to recognize...
From an anthropological standpoint, oh my God, he's such a fucking
recognize that the age of consent at which it is presently set is a social construct. Obviously, it's a social construct.
He has
law. It's not
suede
definition.
shoot.
And there have been different societies with different interpretations as to what constitutes sexual maturity. I, at this moment, here in this society, am pretty comfortable with the age of consent being where it is. I wouldn't advocate for it being changed in any way. But this knee-jerk, and I'm talking to leftists right now, to any leftists listening. This knee-jerk
he's pretty much agreeing with what the sentiment of what this thing
of
says.
any alternative looks at what constitutes sexual maturity is founded primarily in disgust and not in reason. God, fucking kill me.
His burps after saying that's so fucking perfect. That is such the perfect encapsulation of a disgusting beast, man. Jesus.
We have a lot, how do I put this? Does anyone else get the feeling that, like, men, at least in the West, are kind of, like, taught to be kind of little pedophile?
Take a Bravo, let's play.
We're going through all of these. There's about 4 left.
By and large, statistically speaking, there are 370 people watching right now. I'd be willing to bet that at least 20 or 30 of them experience habitual sexual attraction towards children. It's surprisingly common. To those of you who do to an extent that you feel as though it may be like a problem, please, just get some fucking help, my dude. There's nothing wrong with you as a person. We can't help the shit that we're into. We can't...
Vorsh has very abnormal amounts of sympathy for pedophiles.
If you're stopping people who have bought child porn, you probably have some information in on the system which is producing it. In practice, that's just not how you make the world a better place. Like what? Oh, you have child porn on your computer? Well, did you pay for it? Or did you get it for free? And then like, oh, you paid for it? Well, to jail with you. Okay.
Okay.
What if the offender is consuming?
It's so fucking such a great encapsulation of how dumb this shit is that in half of these clips he's playing a fucking video game while rattling off excuses to essentially justify in some way or to like reduce the severity of pedophilia.
Child porn without paying for it? If you're not paying for child porn, if you're just getting it, there is no moral or legal argument against that. That doesn't also like rope in you guys for the things that you have purchased. I would never make the argument that somebody who
doesn't pay for child pornography but consumes it anyway has committed an immoral act. When I was a kid, I was having sex with other kids. Lots of it. Gross sex.
Oh my God, he's gonna like graphically describe child sex now, I guess.
More than you'll ever imagine. And it was great. And it wasn't wrong or bad. And nobody regrets it.
Well, yeah, there's more than enough evidence in all of the shit that I clicked there, and that's not even all of it. I've seen more than that. Far more than enough evidence there for us as like normal people.
Dad always taught us to make
we
the
aren't a
bad
court of
days.
law, but we are normal people
Tighten up
to
the
consider
Joseph's
Vorsh a
spine.
pedophile. You would think that that amount of evidence, that amount of compounding evidence altogether, where someone is incredibly
Getting
obsessed with
Charlie.
this subject, or at least they were incredibly obsessed until
Guess
they
I
realized
chose
it was
the
bad
wrong
for their
people for the
PR,
job.
talks about child porn,
My
No, we
bad.
just said you Black Ops
pedophilia
type to do
so
your
fucking
business.
much with actual evidence that he himself liked drawn child pornography on Twitter pretty extensively until he locked that account down because he realized it was inconvenient for him. Like this is indefensible. Anyone who defends like the fucking talking points that they have where he goes around the internet like defending Vorsh from pedophilia allegations is a reprehensible piece of shit too. Yeah, I've never heard anyone else aside from actual out and out pedos defending child pornography, like trying to equate it with things that it's not remotely equivalent to, like talking about how nice we need to be to pedophiles, etc. constantly. Just the pure volume of it and the consistency from before he was a streamer to after he was a streamer, as along with that fucking Twitter account, it's absolutely overwhelming. The dude is very likely to be a pedophile, though the only way that we can know for sure is if the FBI gets in there and checks out those fucking hard drives. And if there's any time where the police are actually doing something valid, it's raiding pedophiles. Or there's also one thing there that was not included in this post specifically, but Vorsh also said, and I saw this linked in a different post, as you guys might know, Vorsh sexually harassed a bunch of women in like Discord DMs or something. And while doing that, he specifically said to one of these women that he imagines her as a lolly, they call her, which means child, basically. I imagine you as a child, he said. Here. He said to her that he imagines her looking like a lolly. How much more evidence do we fucking need here? Like, we come from a community that will like believe that basically anyone is a rapist or whatever based off like, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, by the way. It's probably good in the end of it. But we'll believe that someone is a rapist based off like one allegation, but apparently this is not enough for Vorsh's community. Like, this is just immeasurably overwhelming evidence that to at least, suspect that he is attracted to children in some way. And he talks about it so fucking much, it's insane.
Some internet sleuths had noticed that Brett Cooper's mom, a woman named Diane Cooper, was liking some interesting posts. And I'm going to read you which post it was that she liked on Instagram. It was a comment that was being directed to Reagan. It reads, "No matter how many acting classes you take or watch Brett's old videos, you will never be Brett. It's sad that you took the money and snubbed your best friend. I hope the amount of money DW offered was worth your friendship with Brett. You lost a good one.
The content creator world is a dog-eat-dog type of world. You literally can't trust anyone. So listen, I don't like the girl. I think she's a racist, but I do feel for that part of the story that, yeah, quite literally cannot trust anyone. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana Jasmine, and today we're going to be talking about Brett Cooper leaving Daily Wire and Candace Owens' reaction to it. If Candace Owens has no haters, I am dead. I don't care how much she advocates for Palestine. I don't care how much she admits that she was an Islamophobe and she's seen the light about Muslim and Middle Eastern people. I don't fucking like her, and I want to make that very clear before we start this video. But anyways, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more videos like this, and let's get into it.
10 days ago, Brett Cooper announced in a somewhat emotionally strained video, I think that's putting it lightly, that she was leaving the Daily Wire. It was actually her and the CEO of Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, in this combo video. Let's just reflect on that. Take a listen.
Hey guys, some of you have heard the rumors online, and the rumors are mostly true. Today, December 10th, will be my last day hosting the comment section and working for the Daily Wire. It is not true that I am being forced out. It was my own choice to leave. And believe me, this is bittersweet. And now for some final thoughts from the God King himself, Jeremy Boring.
Bittersweet indeed. We're sad to see Brett go, but we're excited to see her take the next step in her journey. Brett's an amazing talent, both as a personality and as an actress. It's been a pleasure to see her bring the comment section.
Wait, Brett's an actress? Oh, wow. Okay. Are these real movies, or like, are they Hollywood movies, or? I don't really understand this. I guess she's an actress in productions that I've literally never fucking heard about, but whatever.
We just released Lady Ballers, which you all should go watch on Daily Wire Plus, but my character puts on like full native garb. I actually am not trying to be.
This is something you can't unsee. Okay, listen, I shouldn't be laughing. But I'm sorry, I'm so shook. I'm so shook. What the fuck is this?
The Native American, Michael, is trying to be Native American.
Wait, so that was supposed to be Native American? Why does she have braids though? This is so wildly offensive. This is insane.
In it, but I do have on like Native African garb. And I posted it as a joke in promotion of the movie. And so many people were commenting and saying, oh my God, why would you do that? You know, you talk about, racism all the time. Now you're making fun of people. Bruh. We are making fun of those people. It is satire. We just released Lady Ballers, which you all.
When I say these people deserve a special place in hell, I'm not fucking joking. Just imagine you come here and you are literally living on indigenous land that you are not from, and you make fun of their regalia.
These last 3 years, and her performance in the Pendragon cycle is sensational. I'm certain that whatever Brett creates next will be filled with the same joy and laughter and heart that she's brought to all of her work at the Daily Wire. And we wish her nothing but the best.
So yes, it very much read like an ISIS beheading video. It seemed like they were being held hostage potentially by their lawyers. But
bitch, only you thought that read like an ISIS terrorist video. Who the fuck says that or thinks that? She said, yeah, it looked like an ISIS terrorist hostage video. Quite literally, no one thought that but you. Quite literally. And see, this is why I get so pissed off when people think she's the crusader for Middle Eastern people. This woman has so much internalized Islamophobia. Just because she goes on Piers Morgan and she's like, Palestinians are dying. That doesn't mean that she gets it or she's for the cause, you fucking idiot. God, this shit pisses me off so much.
But as far as splits go, it was handled professionally. But then there was a ton of innuendo. And I should say, by the way, this innuendo was leading up to the moment of the split. People were suggesting that actually Brett Cooper had gotten knifed by her best friend and maid of honor, which, by the way, fact-checked true. It was indeed her maid of honor that was announced to be taking over the comment section, a young woman named Reagan Conrad. And the internet was very upset about this, but there was no confirmation that came from Brett per se until after her announcement. Then the internet started interneting and recognizing some things. First and foremost, they recognized that Brett Cooper unfollowed Reagan. Okay, that is a major sign. Obviously, this woman was in her wedding in April. Now, all of a sudden, Brett Cooper has completely unfollowed her. That kind of signaled that a little more went on behind the scenes. On top of that, Brett Cooper also unfollowed the Daily Wire, and she unfollowed Jeremy Boring. So, yeah, like I said, some blood in the water. But then the ultimate confirmation came. The mother of all bombs. And when I say mother, I mean the mother of Brett Cooper. Some internet sleuths had noticed that Brett Cooper's mom, a woman named Diane Cooper, was liking some interesting posts. And I'm going to read you which post it was that she liked on Instagram. It was a comment that was being directed to Reagan. It reads, "No matter how many acting classes you take or watch Brett's old videos, you will never be Brett. It's sad that you took the money and snubbed your best friend. I hope the amount of money DW offered was worth your friendship with Brett. You lost a good one."
The content creator world is a dog-eat-dog type of world. I've had people who are content creators who I genuinely considered my friends who have stabbed me in the back like I have never seen before. It's part of the reason why I don't have a lot of friends. I maybe have 3 or 4 friends that I can count on one hand that I trust. And it's not because I'm scared they're gonna take my place or anything, because I don't have a spot at a big, network or anything like that. But you literally can't trust anyone. So listen, I don't like the girl. I think she's a racist, but I do feel for that part of, this story that, quite literally cannot trust anyone in this field.
So yeah, a little bit of drama went down. Moms don't hold back at all on the internet. And if this is how it went down, obviously you could imagine you're a mom. It's the big day. Your daughter's getting married. She's next to her best friend, someone you think is her best friend, Reagan, whatever, walking down the aisle next to her. And then all of a sudden, just completely stabbed in the back. Completely crazy. But it turned out that really, if you think about it, it didn't really matter whether or not it happened, if everyone was going to move on from it until, okay, like I said, friendships end, they fall apart, women are awful. You listen to my podcast, I say all the time, women are awful. I've seen women do so many awful things. But what happened next was something that I think none of us were actually thinking was real. I thought it was internet conspiracy. It was so shocking because the internet very strongly signaled, whatever you do, Daily Wire, don't do this, right? Don't try to have this young woman, Reagan, pretend to be Brett, because that would be very weird, obviously. You cannot train somebody to be somebody else and think that the public is not going to notice this. And like I said, I thought it was a conspiracy. I said there's absolutely no way that management is going to roll out Brett Cooper clone. If they're going to do the show with Reagan, they're going to build a different show around her that features her personality and not Brett's. And like I said, there were so many people on the internet signaling to them, don't do this. It's super creepy. Here is just one example of that. This YouTuber is called Decoy Voice, and he really spells it out. Take a listen.
I was talking to a girl with the family I was staying with before. She's like an 18-year-old chick that loves Brett Cooper. She's a total super fan. And she was like, yeah, the Reagan episodes are kind of weird.
Welcome back to the comment section. So obviously, I talk car brand into a whole new stratosphere of woke confusion. I'm concerned about feminism. I'm concerned about the growing gender divide. But before we get into today's episode, make sure you like this video. Before we dive into this episode, though, make sure that you like this video if you have not already. If you've not already.
As I understand, 2 best friends are going to have similar mannerisms, but you can't convince me this isn't done entirely on purpose, as this just looks like when 2 people pick the same character in Street Fighter, where they have all the same moves with a different color scheme.
I should also offer here that the title of that video is "This Show is Creepy Now." As I said, it was explicit, video after video, millions of views on all of these videos, and the comment section of all of these videos agreeing, just being like, no, they cannot produce a clone. They got to give this girl her own show. But for whatever reason, Daily Wire ignored all of those signs, and they very quickly, I feel like in 48 hours, turned around the comment section and just gave us like Brett Cooper, but not 2.0. In fact, the internet kept calling her a Temu Brett, essentially saying that this was like the Chinese knockoff version of Brett Cooper. They did not regroup. They did not rebrand the show. They even kept the girl wearing headphones, kind of like the same dorm setting, which was kind of strange because Brett Cooper, of course, is just 22. She began the show when she was 18. So this sort of like college vibe and the headphones made sense. Reagan's 29 years old. This is an adult woman, and she's kind of cosplaying a teenager in a dorm room.
Okay, so one thing about this, I just want to say there's a lot of people in the political space that cosplay a lot younger than they actually are. And I'm not going to spill the tea on them because I'm not trying to get canceled. But I do know a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm Gen Z, but really they're like 32 or 33. And I know because I know all the tea, but you know. So this is not a new phenomenon. This is something that people on the left and the right do consistently, because being a Gen Zer kind of like speaks to the newer generation and what we think about, you know, the future of our world. Meanwhile, being a millennial doesn't have that same, you know, grab or the same gravitation that Gen Z would have per se. Regardless of that, first of all, Daily Wire has a lot of fucking money. They have a lot of money. They're very rich. So the fact that the Daily Wire is cloning Brett Cooper and not investing in a new studio is very odd to me. It kind of just shows me how disposable people are to them, which once again is not something that's only exclusive to the right side of politics. People on the right and the left, as well as mass media, are treated very disposable. Once you don't make the ratings or the views, or you don't make them the money that you used to, they cut you out. Once you hold them accountable, they cut you out. We see the same thing with TYT. So, you know, it's not something that's new. This exists also on both sides. But, you know, I feel like starting political commentary when you're 18 is a really bold move, I will say, because my political views have shifted a lot since I was 18. And it wasn't until I actually finished university to where I was completely radicalized. And I was like, wait, a lot of the things that I was taught was actually lies. I took a lot of ethnic studies classes. I learned a lot about, you know, not just the indigenous communities, but also the slave trade that happened, not just in the US, but also, you know, places like the Dominican Republic, Haiti, things like that, you know, the sugarcane industry, whatever. I learned about so much. And it's just, I just think if you do want to be a political commentator, being 18 and being a political commentator is a risk. It's a huge risk because a lot of things could change. And when your source of income is based on your viewpoint, your specific viewpoint in politics, you know, it's a lot harder to switch from the right to the left, to switch from left to the right, because we see left to the right all the time. Right to the left is not as common because there's a lot more money in right. You can make a lot more money. There's a lot more opportunities if you're a Republican.
Super awkward, and we can say it was an abject failure. I mean, let's just go through some of these numbers, okay? So this has been 10 days. In 10 days, the comment section has lost 200,000 subscribers, okay? So when Brett Cooper made her announcement, the channel had 4.51 million subscribers. Today, it just keeps going down every time this Reagan girl posts. It's at 4.29 million subscribers. I'm just showing you guys this quick snapshot that I took of the channel. So this girl has produced 2 videos. This one, which is about the Duke lacrosse scandal, has been up for just under 2 days. Could not crack 100,000 views. She's got 71,000 views. The video behind.
Okay, to be fair, she posted something saying Luigi Mangione is not a hero. That's not really going to bode well, even on the right. We saw Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh say the same thing, and they basically got attacked in all of their comments because people were like, hey, we all support Luigi Mangione. We hate insurance companies. So I do think that the video topic that she posted also didn't do her any good. That being said, though, people are still probably pissed off at her, but still.
Behind it, even more abysmal, 42,000 views. So you imagine if it is true that she snaked her best friend and just took her 4.5 million subscribers, and she can't even get 100,000 of them to watch her video. And it's a small video. These are like 7-minute clips. These usually play very well because people have YouTube brain and they're not able to actually follow anything longer than 7 minutes. And the internet is saying absolutely not. I mean, it has gotten so bad that Benny Johnson, who is a friend to sort of everyone, actually did a video on the comment section of the comment section because he couldn't believe how much of a failure that it had been. And that video that Benny Johnson made is almost at 1 million views. Comments are exceptional, but again, all saying the exact same thing. This guy, Frank, writes, Brett Cooper is the comment section. That is horrible. This girl, Fiona, writes, yeah, I unsubscribed from the comment section. I'm not going to watch a chick being absolutely inauthentic, copying her friend who used to be in that show. The imitation is cringe. Dylan Smith writes, if I had to guess, Reagan offered to, quote unquote, be Brett Cooper for less money. If this is the case, then the Daily Wire may learn a hard truth that people and personalities aren't always replaceable. And that's a great thing to think about. Like, actually, why is this failing? How did it fail so hard? And I think the easy answer is we are in a market right now where the social economy is authenticity. You have to be authentic in whatever it is that you are bringing to the market, especially when it comes to Gen Zers. They sniff that stuff out faster than anybody else. They are the internet's culture. And I think the second piece of that is America doesn't like a coronation. What was really shocking to me when I realized they were actually doing this, and this wasn't like internet innuendo, but like actually they were just kind of replicate Brett Cooper, was we just went through an entire election cycle where Kamala Harris was just coronated. They just were like, hey, we're going to make Kamala Harris, and you have to just like Kamala Harris, and it's because Beyonce and Taylor Swift endorse her, and they say that that's good. And we forcefully rejected that. We said, no, actually, you cannot just coronate Kamala Harris. People have to actually run and earn their spot. And Trump has been running, it seems, for the last 4 years. And you're just going to give Kamala Harris 107 days and a couple of celebrity endorsements and just force feed her to us? I would think the Daily Wire would have seen that lesson, that it doesn't really work like that, and would have said, okay, we can't do that. If we think Reagan is this amazing talent, she's going to have to actually earn her keep. She can't just be coronated. And I think this person's comment perfectly encapsulates that.
I don't agree with what she just said, because I don't think they would have had to coronate someone to earn that spot. I don't think Brett Cooper necessarily earned that spot. She got that job when she was 18. I mean, maybe she did some stuff when she was 15 or 16 or 17, but she got that job when she was 18. I'm assuming it was probably her first job, maybe her second. Maybe she worked at a grocery store or something before that. I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's like, she doesn't even have to show or prove that she's worthy of it. She just can't mock her best friend. That's literally all it is. If they gave her her own show, her own identity, her own format, it would have probably read a lot better. People would have been pissed off, but they would have eventually been like, all right, this is a new person. Maybe Daily Wire is trying a new thing. That's fine, right? I mean, I don't think she has to necessarily prove herself. I don't think this is a presidential race. It's fucking Daily Wire. I feel like if you're a young, pretty girl that can spew the right bullshit, they'll hire you. I mean, how hard can it be if they hired an 18-year-old to have her own show?
At Little Miss Stamper, and she is again commenting under the Benny Johnson video. She wrote, there's just something gross about sitting in a spot that you didn't earn, talking to an audience that you didn't earn, on a show that you didn't build, not to mention she was your friend. That's it. Like, totally, the internet is essentially saying she didn't earn these 4.65 million subscribers. So, yes, does the Daily Wire own the channel? Yes. Can the Daily Wire basically say, we're forcing our Kamala Harris and you guys are all going to love her? Sure. But the market is going to respond to that. The market has responded to that, and the market is telling them no. So the question now is, what was Daily Wire thinking? This was a piece that I couldn't wrap my head around. I genuinely am so shocked by this decision, given everyone, again, on the internet saying, please don't. We were just watching a car crash in slow motion. I was going, no, is there anything we can do to stop this? And the answer was no. The management said, we're doing it anyways. And I thought to myself, was it maybe advertiser agreements? Was it they had to have a show every day and maybe some advertisers would have pulled out? Was it being motivated? I don't think likely. They could have easily taken a pause at the end of the year, and they should have. If I was advising, I would have been like, take a full pause. It's Christmas, it's holiday time, no one's gonna think, let's come back in the new year with something fresh. They didn't do that. And I don't think it was advertising dollars that was influencing it. Somebody said to me maybe it was just continuity. They were thinking as long as they just had a show the next day, people would be used to listening to Brett Cooper and would just be back. Maybe, but again, not what I took away from this. What I really think it came down to is the Daily Wire is run by people who were formerly in theater, right? So you have Jeremy Boring, the company's called Bent Key. The reason it's called Bent Key is because he wears a bent key around his neck. And that key, he once wrote in Daily Wire piece, was the key from the playhouse that he used to work at. He was an aspiring actor. He talks about how he failed in Hollywood. And so his background is in theater. And recently, Ben Shapiro went viral because he gave this review of Wicked that was very professional, talking about people saying in their head voice, and the internet was amazed that he was so up to date, I guess, on just theater stuff. And I think what you have are a lot of people, their background is in theater, and they thought through this equation like theater kids. They were just like, we needed an understudy. Reagan knows the part. Reagan knows how to do this. Reagan's been the producer. Reagan, Brett's leaving. Can you just be Brett? And it was just an accidental miss. Genuinely just totally did not read the room right. Does not.
Okay, listen, I would say it's natural selection, because if you don't understand that making someone's best friend clone them on a show would not work, are you stupid or are you stupid? I don't give a fuck that you did theater. I don't give a fuck that you came from a theater background. This is common sense. Every person has their own brand. Every person has their own personality, their own way that they show up. If I came on Instagram and I tried to copy Hassan word for word and to mock everything he does and imitate it and try to be big like him, it wouldn't work, because I'm not being authentic to myself. People are not going to look at the budget girl Hassan. They're going to look at the real Hassan, and they're probably going to make fun of me while I do it. This is common.
I could do it. He's a little liar. What was it?
Basic sense.
Not realize that podcasting is not the same as theater. You really can't do that. They're not looking for an understudy. They're looking for a real person. And they have to believe that that person is genuine. They have to believe that person is authentic. And in that way, I think they very much set up Reagan to fail. But also Reagan set herself up to fail, because if somebody came to me and said, just be your best friend, I'd be like, no. I love this opportunity. This is amazing, but I'm going to have to be myself and figure out who that is and if it's enough. And I think given all
dog shit.
They went with Reagan, I think it was super easy for them to just find someone else on TikTok, somebody else with their own personality that's getting tons of views, who has the it factor. And that is what I want to say conclusively. You know, Brett Cooper has the it factor. Nobody really knows what the it factor is, but you know when you see it. And I remember the first time I saw a Brett Cooper video, actually, she was working at the Daily Wire, and I had no idea she was working at Daily Wire. And my husband kept saying, do you know this girl, Brett Cooper, that works there? And I'm like, no, I've never seen her. And he showed me her video, and the first time I saw it, I said, this girl just has the it factor. Just didn't feel that way when you watch Reagan perform. It's like, okay, this isn't the it factor. This feels like the forced it factor. This feels like the friend of the it factor. I just don't see how this is going to...
This feels like the...
Honestly, I think it's the fact that she was female Ben Shapiro. Like, that's quite a... That's quite a thing. It's pretty interesting. Kind of talk like him, she kind of look like him, but she's like kind of, you know, kind of hot. Even though Ben Shapiro is just a little hotter in my opinion. Got guns.
The friend of the ick factor, that's literally the situation, so that's kind of a stupid analysis. But anyways, going beyond that, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be more I'm just being a hater of Canada Zones right now, so let me run it back turbo. I don't think it's the it factor. I think it's simply the fact that they booted mini Ben Shapiro girl version and they brought in her best friend. I literally think that's all it is. I don't think it's this it factor type of thing. I really don't. I don't think she had the it factor. She just kind of looked like a mini clone of Ben Shapiro, spewing the same bullshit. So you can.
That was her thing, mini Ben Shapiro.
I can make
her friend ain't got that.
You don't have the it
This
factor
doesn't look
either,
anything like Ben
but
Shapiro.
it goes beyond that in the fact that they just really did a colossal fuck up with this move, and it's really all that comes down to.
To be a successful plan, they should have just regrouped, gone under. If I'm giving them advice today, shut it down fast. When the market tells you no, you're not going to be able to ever force the markets, and this is a pretty resounding no. And lastly, what I will say is the lesson in all of this is actually something that I learned from Matt Walsh. He always says, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's a great little life tidbit. Like, you absolutely can. You own this channel, you can. Just find...
That was literally the most basic thing I've ever heard, and I've heard at least 10 people in my life say that. I feel like that's what parents tell their children. Hey, just because you can go in the mud and jump doesn't mean you should, right? I don't understand why she's attributing this to fucking Matt Walsh.
A friend of, and put them up there and say, so what, deal with it. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because you should know that people are not going to respond well to that. And just because you contractually, legally, and from a business perspective can, doesn't mean that that's ultimately going to be good for you and your company. So that is the lesson in all of this. The comment section, I would say, is officially over.
This whole Brett Cooper thing is pretty funny, actually, I will say. I feel like Republicans are kind of like losing it. You know what I mean? I want to see this new girl's videos.
I should put a warning in the beginning of this video. If there are children around, get them out. This is not for you. I have been watching this story of a young woman unfold over the past several weeks online. She's been slowly growing in popularity, and her story seems so absurd that I did not and could not believe that it was true. Then I learned that it was very much true. But I didn't want to just do a story covering her and giving her even more attention. That isn't how I learned.
I think we have more respect for her if she addressed the comment section, and if Reagan had her own identity and not copying Brett's. Look, when Brett acts like Brett, it's normal. When you do it, it's creepy. Please stop. Damn, a lot of people are just hating on her. It's hard to want to click on the video, but I love the comments. This young lady is seriously hurting inside. I pray she finds some self-worth and peace. 95% of the comments videos, people clicking so they could go to the comment section and ignore everything she says. That's just so, honestly, I'm not a fan of any of these people. I think they're raging racist, but this is a very sad and pathetic thing to do. Especially if that's like your close friend. You just took her job, you took her channel, and you became a political commentator. Let me just say this. It is so hard to learn. Like when so I have a degree in journalism and then minor in political science. And for me, it took me a year to figure out how to film my videos on TikTok and Instagram in a way where it resonated with people and myself, and it aligned with my personality and characteristics, right? You cannot just put someone in front of a fucking camera and just edit it out and make them seem interesting. You can't do that, because that takes a lot of time and effort. It's a process that you have to go through yourself, and you have to be very consistent with it. You can't just make one video every week and then another video another week and another video here. Like, that's not how it works. You have to be very consistent. You have to try out so many different things and see what works, what doesn't. And for them to just kind of take this girl and plop her in front of a set and just kind of force feed her to a fan base that is used to someone else, it's a little insane. If you guys were actually serious, you wouldn't do some stupid shit like this. All right, thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana Jasmine. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos like this. Thank you so much for helping me reach 10K subscribers. I love you all, and I'll see you guys next time.
So Lonerbox uploaded a video pertaining to respond to my 2 videos on him. And I actually think this is the first response video ever uploaded that was responded to already in advance. Because this guy is so incredibly lazy, so like tuned out of making anything of any worth, that his idea of a response was to take the stream VOD that I had already responded to and just cut it up and try to turn it into some sort of coherent response to me. To be clear, that is the stream VOD that my second response video had already responded to. So I uploaded this video, how to defend genocide. Then, like a week or so later, Lonerbox responded on a stream, and the VOD was still there after that. And then I responded to the VOD, but he privated the VOD once he realized that I was planning to respond to it and hid the evidence. So this was it was like a response based on notes that I had taken on the VOD before he hid it. And that was like two or so weeks ago. He hid the VOD about 2.5 weeks ago. And now what he did is he went back to the original video of his stream that I had already responded to and chopped it up to try and formulate a response. I've never seen anything as stupid as someone already having that video responded to before they even uploaded it. He didn't even feel the need to adapt. He didn't even feel the need to put any effort in. He just took the VOD and chopped it up. And well, before we begin here, I believe it is very interesting because now he has actually unprivated that VOD. But there is something about this that is perhaps a bit off. You know, why would someone who had nothing to hide their VOD for 3 weeks and then suddenly make it public? Well, it's because he had something to hide. Let me show you. So if you don't know, on YouTube, after you've already uploaded a video or whatever, you can go back and delete portions of that video, whether it's a stream VOD or whatever type of video it is, you can do that. So let's go here to the timestamp of around 1:32:08, around here. Let's watch what happens here when he is going over the x-rays and the children shot in the head. Let's watch what happens here.
Like there's a spotter, a sniper, a commander. They're like 1,000 meters away and they see a kid and they just go, okay, get him in the head, go. You already had to show me that. You have no evidence for that. I'm also, while I'm inclined to believe that a non-zero number of these killings were done intentionally and in a criminal fashion, and this is only some of the pictures.
What happened there? This is a live stream VOD. How is there just a random cut in a live stream VOD? What happened there? Now, you might notice here that, now look at the chat. If you can zoom in on the chat, I'll full screen this so you can see it. Now, let's look at the chat. Before and after the cut. Look at it. And now let's see what happens in 2 seconds.
And in a criminal fashion. And this is only some of the pictures. Again,
completely different, right? And now we can see, for some context as to what Lonerbox was talking about, because you can see the reaction of the chat. I'm sure someone has already said it, but the images are definitely faked. No deformity in the rounds. So we have literally like completely different. All of these messages are gone after the cut, which was intentionally edited out by Lonerbox from the VOD.
And in a criminal fashion.
And the chat is clearly full of people who are denying that these x-rays are real. It's very interesting, isn't it? That there just happens to be a portion of this VOD that is now missing. Where, if you look at the chat, which is still there, he forgot to blur that out, I guess. Didn't cover his tracks well enough. You can clearly see that people in the chat are denying the veracity of these images. I think that's very interesting, isn't it? Now, I don't like to cover things that have already been covered by others in basically the same way that I would cover them. I feel like it's a waste of time. So for like the first part of his video, he spends literally, I shit you not, like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, changing his argument on the children shot in the head before he then claims that I lied about him denying the x-rays, which, you know what, even if I had lied about that, which, if that was a lie, why did you cut out a huge part of your VOD? Why is there just a huge part of the VOD missing? For one, it would be quite simply because I didn't have the opportunity to go back and watch the rest of the VOD to see what else he said about it, because he privated it. You know, that was the plan. Go over the VOD, make sure that what I was saying was 100% correct, and then respond to it and show the clips in the actual video. But he privated the VOD, and now the VOD is unprivated. And wouldn't you know, a large portion of it is missing right when he happened to be talking about the x-rays. But even if we wanted to grant him that, which, for the record, you should absolutely not, because quite clearly he had something to hide here, that does not absolve him for the rest of the video, most of which he completely ignored in his response. He just changes his arguments completely. His whole strategy is to, when he gets debunked on one point, he moves on to like another completely worthless semantical point. And it's all like reflexive defense of Israel, no matter what. So this video from this channel called Disinformation Tracker already went over pretty much all that I could have possibly said about this part, like the first 10 or so minutes of his purported response. Basically, the gist of it, and I'll put this in the description when I end up uploading this. The gist of it is very simple. Lonerbox tries to change the terms of the argument from here are a bunch of children shot in the head by Israel to why are these children killed by like crack sniper teams or just by normal soldiers? That is his entire argument. He spends 10 minutes on it. And it's especially funny given that, as you can see in this clip that Lonerbox literally watched, the person who brought up the sniper thing, who argued that it couldn't have been a sniper in the first place, and therefore, who was the reason that I spoke about snipers at all, was literally Lonerbox.
But the problem with sniping isn't like the accuracy is not.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work?
Commentator Mehdi Hassan. There is no tunnel that justifies shooting toddlers in the head. Israeli snipers.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work? Like, the problem with sniping isn't like the accuracy is not because obviously you got your scope and yeah, it's quite easy. You can accurately snipe, but
And now he changed his argument to,
You fucking
but maybe technically those children weren't killed by snipers.
Targets and personnel move really, really fast when you're sniping. Like, snipers make their decisions in less than a split second in combat situations.
This guy already pretty much covers what I would have wanted to cover on this, and he does it for 20 minutes, so this is more than good enough of a response to this garbage. But there's a clip here that is like basically... Bonobox also insists, by the way, constantly, there is no evidence of that. There is no evidence of what you say with these children being killed, blah, 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 while he has the evidence on the screen. It's crazy. Like, his whole strategy, it's the David Irving defense. David Irving is a famous Holocaust denier whose defense was basically to say, of the Holocaust was to say, give me a specific document signed by Hitler ordering the Holocaust, or it never happened, or at least Hitler didn't know about it. That is Lonerbox's entire being to a T. None of this was intentional, none of this was systemic, unless you can hand me like a specific document, a smoking gun, a leak from the IDF high command that proves it. His entire argument is decontextualization. It's the equivalent of someone saying, okay, Babi Yar was, the Babi Yar massacre in which 50,000 Jews were killed by the Nazis. You have no proof that this was part of a systematic campaign to mass murder Jews. Where's the proof? How do you not know that this was just one isolated massacre? It's arguing something like that. As if there is not a clear, much broader campaign of massacring civilians that was just one part of. His strategy is always to say, how do you not know that these children were just individually killed by like rogue IDF soldiers? How do you not know that perhaps these children were just individually killed upon the orders of one rogue commander? Give me a specific document from the IDF High Command ordering the deaths of these children. Or you have no proof that's not the case. As if Israel is not massacring civilians in droves, in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, every single day. As if this is not just one small part of that. As if there is not a broader context from which we can infer clearly, with far beyond any reasonable doubt, what they are doing and why they are doing it. It is pure pseudo-intellectual wankery that can only work on the dumbest Americans who perceive a British accent as making someone intelligent, no matter what they're saying. He literally said commanders aren't very high up in the chain of command. It is unbelievable. So here is like Lonerbox's incredible like coup de grace, the argument of the decade.
Kilometer away, what scenario are you imagining here? Sorry, if you think this is the case, that there's a policy from the IDF down to sniper units from long distances where you've got a sniper, the spotter with the fucking binoculars, then you've got a commander on the radio, then you've gathered intel beforehand to tell them where to go and where to aim for with coordinates and everything, and then it's all happening over communication.
Just Lonerboxes.
No one cares about any of that. What we care about is that there are fucking droves of children shot in the head. No one cares how they were shot in the head. We care that they were shot in the head in numbers that simply are impossible to produce unless it's being done intentionally as part of a broader military campaign where children are being massacred day in and day out in a clear intentional campaign to massacre civilians. You're David fucking Irving. And besides, in the first place, the reason why anyone was talking about snipers is because he talked about, like, his initial argument was not this, it was to say, come on man, snipers, if snipers shot those kids, it was by accident, because that's how sniping jobs work. Anyway, let's go to his channel and check out the rest of his incredible response video, which, to be clear, got far more views than any of his other videos recently, just because it has me in it, yet still got basically shit views. Like, he's selling his soul for nothing. Destiny must pay him or something. It's so weird that a guy like this has an editor. Where's the money coming from for the editor? Very weird. This is the best thing you could do, is to throw together a haphazard response to a video that was already responded to. I wonder if he included the part about his incredible argument about friendly fire. They like to use this term fifth chip. Like in my response, I played the rest of the clip that he claimed had been edited out. Like, so let's firstly establish what is Lonerbox's normal standard of evidence that he accepts. So Lonerbox believes that Hamas engaged in mass rape on October 7th because a couple of Israeli witnesses, most of whom are linked to the Israeli state, claim that they saw someone being raped.
I don't think the evidence of the rapes is as weak as you're making them out to be. It seems to be the evidence for it is about as good as we can get for any conflict in the past, and ones that we've happily accepted.
So Lonerbox is happy to accept that as evidence for Hamas mass rape on October 7th. Yet dozens at the very least, hundreds in all likelihood cases of doctors who saw children clearly shot in the head in ways that could not be anything but intentional, given the frequency of it, given the clear pattern of it happening, given the fact that they were seeing multiple people coming in every day with children with bullets in their head. You would think that that would be enough evidence for him, given how easy he accepts Israeli claims. But no, it wasn't. What about another example of Loner Box just accepting whatever the fuck Israel says no matter what? So let's take a look at Loner Box's standard of evidence for there being a famine in Gaza. Let's see what he accepts for that. Let's see what his single citation for his claim that aid in Gaza is adequate, that Israel is not doing anything to impede it, that there is no famine in Gaza is. Let's check what that is. Let's find out. Let's click this link and see where it takes us. Gaza aid data.government.israel. Well, I'm convinced. The Israeli coordinator of government activities in the territories, aka the Israeli official occupation agency. Look, guys, look at all these big numbers that we sent them. 100% real, no fake. Well, I'm convinced. That's a high standard of evidence. Damn. So Lonerbox's evidence for Israeli claims is whatever the Israeli government says. Lonerbox's standard of evidence for Palestinian claims is, well, first it goes, it was an accident. Then it goes to, well, do you have any proof that a sniper did it? Then it goes to, well, perhaps it was just one bad apple. And then it goes to, perhaps it was just one bad commander. And then it goes to I'm going to try to find some random way to argue my way out of this by trying to play some semantic word games with you. He is David Irving personified. It is really that simple. The David Irving of our day, except honestly getting way less out of it than Irving was, given his failed YouTube channel. That seems to be the only thing that he has as a result of it. Unless, the Israeli payments go a lot further than what we had previously gotten to know, because he definitely got paid to go to Israel at the very least. It was an all expenses paid trip. Aside from that, who knows? Now let's see the rest of his incredible response. Apart from the child shot in head part, what else has he got to tell us? Okay, so the first part is him watching an Ethan Klein video, apparently. And then the next part is him skipping through my video. Where does he actually respond to it?
That's all right, in their heads, okay? We covered this on my stream.
Those x-rays, by the way, which the New York Times said they had corroborated with actual pictures of the injuries, which they did not publish because they considered them too graphic to show. I personally think they should have published them, because then idiots like this wouldn't be able to try to deny them in this way, but they didn't.
Idiots like this wouldn't be able to try and deny them. Interesting. I'm not sure who he's talking about there.
This guy he's literally, his entire pathetic little career is denying the mass murder of Palestinians. His one claim to fame is that. So he goes on to do his own little amateur forensic analysis of those x-rays, and he started claiming that they were either fake or that they were misleadingly presented. Basically the same conspiracy theory that...
Now remember, I misleadingly presented. The misleading representation I said came from people like Hassan and Mehdi Hassan, because they said that they were all sniper bullets.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work? And that is the argument that he decided to go with. Come on, guys. It wasn't Israeli snipers, even though I'm the one who originally argued on those terms.
It's insane. The question that should come immediately after that should be, and why does that matter? What does it matter if you kill a baby with a sniper rifle or an assault rifle? What's the difference? The problem is that a baby is shot in the head. Wonderbox is going to hell. And I'll be there waiting for him. With a fucking pokey thing, fire. Torture his dumbass. Forever. Thank you.
It was other Israeli soldiers also shot children in the head. Whoa, shit, we're destroyed.
The New York Times article doesn't say that. The New York Times article doesn't claim to say what weapons.
How do you constitute that as misinformation? It's why does that make it any different? That is such a bizarre and on its face, stupid argument.
Hostile down.
Jesus fuck. I mean, your brain, you dude. If people hear that and they're like, "Oh yeah, just give it up. You're done. Your brain's fucking cooked, capiche?" Your brain is smooth, soft, and useless. And I don't know. Maybe you should just kind of give yourself up for scientific experimentation, medical testing, because you might cause more damage with that kind of smooth brain and a functioning human body than your brainless, still body parts can be used to advance human knowledge of our anatomy. It could possibly save lives if you're just willing to give up your body with its small, juicy, smooth, mushy, gelatin-like brain. Okay.
These bullets were fired at.
Who gives a shit what it says about the weapons? You're trying to change the problem from they're shooting fucking kids and massacring them into what type of weapon did they use to do it? It's the most pathetic, self-cocksucking debate lord shit you'll ever see in your life. Honestly.
They don't say that. That's just been inserted by these other people. I don't even know how you know, because...
Isn't it funny how he skips like the first 20 fucking minutes of the video too, by the way?
The bullets that snipers used, as a 7.62 by 51 millimeters, they're also used by marksman rifles and by...
So he goes from saying that he wasn't doing amateur forensic analysis of the bullet wounds into doing amateur forensic analysis of the bullet wounds. In the same fucking breath. I didn't do that. Anyway, here's me doing that again.
Like semi-automatic or automatic weapons by regular infantry, so anyway.
Who are you talking to? Who are you arguing against? The contention was never were they killed literally by a sniper or by some random normal soldier with a rifle aiming at them in the head. That changes nothing.
He said that, what did he say there before that?
All right. The fake, whether they were missing forensic analysis of those x-rays, and he started claiming that they were either fake or that they were misleadingly presented.
What an unbelievably dishonest, inbred cousin of Che Guevara piece of shit this guy is.
Anyway, so here's the part of the video again where Loaderbox edited out the part where he did that. I love to just make the VOD private.
What a fucking...
Like, the thing is, like, he intentionally did everything possible to impede my ability to respond to him. And then, once he finally put the evidence up, it was edited. He edited out the things that I had responded to. Again, let me show you. Timestamp 1:32:08.
A non-zero number of these killings were done intentionally and in a criminal fashion. And this is only some of the pictures. Again, that witness who said that 2 kids were actually hit by sniper fire.
And he says this like right after doing amateur forensic analysis of the fucking caliber of the bullets in the children's head. As if anyone gives a shit. Like, he's trying to turn the debate from Israel shot these kids in the head to, well, Israel shot these kids in the head with this specific caliber of bullet. No one was talking about that. You brought that up.
I tried to say they were fake. Is that what I said? In a video that he watched and took notes on? This is what I actually said, by the way, in the article.
You notice how what he's saying, this is him citing something 20 fucking minutes before the part of the video that I watched where he did this. 20 fucking minutes beforehand. Because you know what happened here, right? I watched parts of the VOD. I took notes on his response, his hilariously terrible fucking response. And then I was going to go back later and watch the rest of it to make sure I didn't miss anything. And he hid the VOD because he was so fucking terrified of my response to him that he literally hid the evidence. And now he finally unprivates the VOD and it has clearly been edited in an egregious way where large parts of it have been removed. Such a fucking joke.
That is based on...
And now he goes to one specific part of the VOD, which again does not absolve him one little bit because, as I said, later in the video, he goes over like the fucking x-rays and analyzes the caliber of the bullets in the children's heads. like amateur fucking forensic analysis. And you can clearly see from the context of the people responding to him in his chat, which I will show again here. There are people in his chat denying the veracity of the images and talking about the caliber of the bullet in the fucking children's heads here, showing again that he was indeed engaging in amateur forensic analysis of x-rays of children shot in the head. So, yeah, fuck off, you lying
Statements from doctors, nurses, and paramedics.
You edited it out.
Who basically went to the press and said that they had seen children who were found with single bullets.
There's another cut there as well. Did you see that?
Either in the head or chest. Okay? And they show x-rays. People in chat are saying the x-rays are hella sus. You're wrong. Sorry. These x-rays have been verified.
And then he goes on to do amateur forensic analysis of the fucking x-rays himself. What caliber of bullet is in this child's head? If I decide that it is actually X caliber of bullet, that means that somehow, by some perverse logic that I invented, these children were not intentionally shot in the head. Yes, surely.
Like people who absolutely know much more than you do, okay? The images are real. Stop saying that, okay? The images There's only one person in chat, by the way, and I corrected it. I said that the images were real.
Look at this fucking chat right here. One person. It's your entire fucking audience. And then he cuts to a different video. So this is like from another day where he responded to my response, but only to one specific part of it, something that he had then edited out the evidence of later before he actually made the VOD public. Excellent, right? And then after that, he cuts to his original response to my original video, which is the one which I had already responded to. And this is the part where he talks about the children shot in the head, which we just went over with that other guy's video responding to it. So he talks about that part.
You know, they've
only by the way, because Hassan responded to it. His plan was to ignore it until Hassan responded to it and the heat on him got too much to handle.
Pretty formative role in actively
Israel does. And that's just what happened to come to his mind. A serious argument or anything. He's just desperate to defend anything that Israel does, and that's just what happened to come to his mind in that moment. So this is the thing that we just went over with. He just talks about the fucking sniper fit. Like it's the one talking point that he decided to talk about, and he sticks to it for literally 20 fucking minutes, man. Like it's all about, well, maybe technically they were not killed by sniper, or they weren't killed by a sniper, and that changes everything somehow. It was all an accident. As I said, his entire thing is attempting to argue that in spite of Israel massacring countless fucking civilians, hundreds of thousands at this point easily, his whole fucking argument is, do you have proof that every single individual one of these civilians' deaths was ordered from above? Hold up. Okay, so let's compare the length here of the VOD as shown here. This is when the VOD was private, so he was able to access it because it's obviously his YouTube account. Free 49.25. Now let's look at the length of the VOD currently. Free 47.16. So about 2 minutes and 10 seconds have been cut out of the VOD. They went back and edited the VOD. I wonder why they did that. Jesus, half the video is just the headshot thing. It's just the snipe, like, but I'm trying this desperate semantic argument that is completely different to my initial argument to defend the headshots on children, and editing in like random things that I never actually said at the time. That I think like
that I've said that.
Like there's just
I lie sometimes, but
like this is his editor like desperately googling and putting things on the screen. Like look, it's him citing the fucking UN report that I myself refuted in the video that I responded to him on the Hamas mass rape narrative. This is literally him getting refuted by a video that was already out before he uploaded this. Like his editor puts on the screen, based on information gathered by the mission team from multiple and independent sources, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred during the October 7th attacks. I responded to that already, and I noted specifically that the standard of evidence that Lonabox accepts for the Hamas mass rape narrative is based on like 3 witnesses saying it happened. So let's look at that. And this just affirms that again. Like he's willing to believe that Hamas engaged in like systematic mass rape because like 4 Israeli state agents or people linked to the Israeli state swear up and down they saw it happening on October 7th. Oh, and by the way, people like Lonabox like to cite He got cited in advance by, he got refuted in advance by a video that had been out for a week and a half before he uploaded this. This is my opponent. These are my enemies. Give me a fucking break. UN report into sexual violence on October 7th and in Gaza since then. And that report concluded that it was likely that at least one instance of rape by Palestinian militants of an Israeli occurred on that day. It concluded that, however, based on nothing but the same 5 or 6 witness testimonies that I mentioned. So it came to a very strong conclusion based on almost no evidence. It's super problematic and basically just exists to attempt to give some legitimacy to the flailing Israeli mass rape narrative. That narrative started out as Hamas systemic mass rape and then ended with this UN report which concludes that, maybe rape happened if you squint a bit and you take very questionable eyewitness testimony with no corroborating evidence at its word. For one, it was not a real... To be clear, this was uploaded on November 15th. This was uploaded on November 26th. So by the time that he uploaded this response, he had already been responded to and refuted on nearly every point. Aside from the new random ones that he came up with, like the caliber of the bullets are different to a sniper bullet. Therefore, everything changes, and actually it's okay that they shot kids in the head. Investigative report, Israel has a policy of not allowing real third-party investigations into October 7th. So all that the people involved in this did is they went around Israel interviewing people being sort of chaperoned around by the Israeli government, and the only real evidence that they considered to come to that conclusion were a few testimonies. So nothing but individual witness reports. It is an extremely low standard of evidence, given that no one can even name who the rape victims were. There's never been any forensic evidence to corroborate any of this. No photos, no video, and many of the witness statements are clearly coming from unreliable sources, and that there is a clear incentive by the Israeli state to spread such testimonies as much as possible, given that they are committing genocide and they clearly believe that rape on October 7th is good for their propaganda to justify it. None of these people would accept a single Palestinian saying they saw something happen when there was no forensic evidence of it happening, no photo, no video of it happening, no other witnesses who saw that specific event happening, yet they're willing to accept the idea that there was mass rape on October 7th, despite that not even being backed up by these testimonies, and despite even individual instances that are attested to in these testimonies not being backed up by anything else. So yeah, it's just... Okay, well... if I can just go back to my earlier video to respond to you, I would say that you didn't do a great job in your response. So there's a lot in my two responses to him that he skipped over. Like, I reckon 70-80% of the videos he didn't even try to respond to. He just stuck to that point.
9 months. He's fucking...
It's just desperately trying to chop together. Like, he's still 33 minutes in. We're halfway through his response, and he's still on the first fucking point of the video. He's still on the first point of the video. The children shot in the head. He hasn't even moved on yet. It's unreal. This is the best that you could do?
Fucking terrorist-loving...
Be official policy, okay? That's not how this works.
Oh, huh. Because that's almost as if that's my argument, Hassan. Well done. Again, I feel bad for Hassan because he's being manipulated right now. He's being manipulated by a deranged, racist, fucking terrorist-loving...
This is really funny. No one has to be manipulated. We saw your video, dude. We watched it. I'll just play the clip on stream, unedited again, right now, just so that everyone can see precisely. I want everyone to see what you said, because I don't think anyone needs to be told that I don't think anyone needs to be manipulated into thinking that this is fucking embarrassing, disgusting genocide denial. Let's watch it, okay? Let's just watch the clip in full. Let's check out the argument, unedited, no commentary, from beginning to end, and fucking... Let's just see how good it is on its own merit. Play it in full.
Brought into hospitals we were in with gunshot to the head, sniper shots. Perfect. Exact targets. There is no tunnel that justifies shooting toddlers in the head. Israeli sniper.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work? Like... The problem with sniping isn't, like, the accuracy is not because obviously you got your scope and the fucking, like, yeah, it's quite easy, you can accurately snipe, but targets and personnel move really, really fast when you're sniping. Like, snipers make their decisions in less than a split second in combat situations. Unless he's suggesting there were just a couple of kids sitting on the hill and a guy opposite in a building just went, got him, take him out. They just want to commit a war crime. But I don't think that's Israeli policy, is to snipe kids for no reason. To snipe toddlers, but okay.
You can tell us why. You can defend. Manny, forgive me for going abstract, but I do want to go to some principles here. So you are listing a number of specific incidents that you feel cumulatively add up to a very, very much an overreaction.
Yeah, IDF soldiers shoot each other as well, yeah. Like, IDF snipers kill their own soldiers. Do they do that intentionally? Is that just like, is that because Zionists are so anti-Semitic that they... I don't even know what the argument is there.
I was clip-chipped. I was allowed to speak for 2 minutes straight with no edits.
Hardpoint active.
I was dishonestly clip-chipped by bad faith terrorists.
Next call, napalm strike inbound.
I hate it when people manipulate others into hating me by showing me speaking. It's the worst. Poor Hassan manipulated.
Comment section saying that and even now that Mr. Empanada has clearly been watching some of my content, he used to deny that, but I guess he does now.
Well, I watched your shitty stream with you denying genocide and then refuted it completely. Yes, I did. Absolutely.
He still proceeds to just go around lying about my positions, like, flagrantly. This is him in, I won't say whose, comment section.
This is Beast Ross's comment section. Beast Ross is someone who turned himself into like the token Palestinian to validate Lonabox's Zionism to try and reach up his audience a little bit. And absolutely, I left this comment in his comment section. That's why it's on my main account. It's on my main verified YouTube account. Do you think that this is like an own on me to show this? Fuck yeah. Fuck collaborators. Fuck collaborators of you too.
But they're in another creator's comment section saying that I justify murder of kids, laugh at mass.
Yes! You justify the murder of kids. I just showed you do it. It's in the video that you pretended to be responding to.
Rapes, claim.
Yes, you laughed at mass rape. Should I show you the clip again? Okay, I will. Let's go. Let's show everyone Lonabox laughing at the mass rape of Palestinian prisoners. Let's show it. Let's show it to everyone. Doesn't it suck to just to have someone just like show a clip of you to prove you wrong from the thing you pretend to be responding to?
Because I support the release of all the hostages, and I support the release of thousands of Palestinian detainees being raped and tortured, and children. Do you support that? Let's work together. Do you support the young? Do you support the release of Palestinians? I do not support the release of Palestinian children. Do you support the release of Palestinian children?
Why is he? Oh God, what a fucking creep, man. Again, you can talk about the unlawfulness of the imprisoning, but like the Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
Of thousands of Palestinian detainees being raped and tortured.
Hardpoint is secure. Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down.
I don't even say anything, do I? Damn, I can't imagine that Bad Empanada would lie about you by saying true things, clearly evidence about you that you actually did.
That Israel's crimes are not systemic, really. Even though this is after he's clearly watched the full clip.
That Israel's crimes are not systemic. Yes! That's literally what you argued. You literally said commanders are not that high up in the chain of command. Every single argument that you make is attempting to absolve Israel of any sort of like you're trying to claim that all like the whole Gaza thing, which you deny is a genocide. You just went on fucking Bitcoin stream and denied that it's a genocide. You try to justify every little thing on the basis, well, it's an accident. Well, if it's happening, it's just because individual soldiers are doing it, or perhaps the commander who's not actually that high up in the chain of command. Should I show that one? Should I show commanders are not actually that high up in the chain of command? Would you like me to do that? The funniest clip ever made by anyone? I will. Funnily enough, though, Lonabox did not respond to that part in this video. Lonabox in this only responds to 2 specific talking points. Like, how do you justify? He responds to the fact that he's doing X-ray scrutiny, amateur forensic analysis. Then he responds to the shooting kids in the head, which he completely fails to defend himself on. And then he skips to the end and accuses Hassan of laughing at mass rape. That's all that he did. And it took him an hour to do that.
One of the problems there was the soldiers eventually were refusing to do it because of the unlawful.
No, there were some that didn't want to do it, but it was still like the commander issuing the orders, and it's a pretty open secret in the IDF, and it hasn't been done before.
I'm just thinking about his responses and I'm already laughing.
Yeah, so you're saying a commander did it, but a commander obviously is not particularly high up in the chain of command. Like, is it?
Command is in the name.
Like the fucking jokes that they are, because this is just worthy solely of mockery, honestly. It's not even worth getting angry at. What a fucking joke. What a joke that this is the best that Israel can do, is to get people like this paid glazing tours of Israel to get them to get further dug into defending Israel. And this is the best that they can get. Commanders aren't that high up in the chain of command.
The case of is it still the case that it's their IDF policy? Like, it's the policy from like the chief of staff though, or is it?
It
like,
has to be a policy directive that you can find written down from the chief of staff, or it didn't happen. That's the David fucking Irving argument. We can't infer that the Holocaust happened, that it was a part of a systemic thing from the fact that they fucking did it. And how the fuck would you possibly do something like that unless it was something that you meant to do? No. We need a specific order directly from Hitler, or it didn't happen. Bonobox is in this claiming that he did not deny that Israel commits systemic crimes, or literally denying genocide, while saying shit like that to defend Israel from allegations of systemic crimes. It's insane that this is the best they got.
Other than me saying it, and chosen to chop out the half of me saying it.
Which chopped out? What was chopped out? Oh my god, always. I can't believe it. These are so... Oh, he's getting the rape face part. The rape face part. How does he deal with it?
Do you support the release of Palestinians? I do not support the release of Palestinian children. Do you support the release of Palestinian children?
Why is he? Oh God, what a freak, man. Again, if you can talk about the unlawfulness of the imprisoning, but like the Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
Of thousands of Palestinian detainees.
Oh my god, he skipped up. They edited out the part. They didn't want to show his fans his Vesuvian.
Unlawfulness of the imprisoning, but like the Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
Of thousands of Palestinian detainees.
They edited it out. Well, I'll include it here again, just so that we can be thorough. Just so that everyone.
Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
Of thousands of Palestinian detainees being raped and tortured.
This is the part that he and his editor edited out of his final epic response, that they are so fucking lazy that the best that they could do is cut it up from a VOD that I had already responded to before they even uploaded it. These are my opponents. Give me a fucking break. Give me someone worthy. Like President Sunday is harder of an opponent than this. I'm just disappointed.
Uh-oh. Hassan's going to show us evidence that it actually is random. That's what he's going to do.
Then what is random?
Oh, Israel said there was valid reason for it, so it must be correct. This is the benefit of a state doing the unjustifiable versus an organization that is not a functioning state, basically. No.
I don't know if it's to do with state versus non-state actors.
As I went over earlier, he just constantly uncritically cites Israel. Oh my god, he literally moves on to attempting to justify the mass imprisonment and rape of Palestinians by like Googling international law and coming up with his own amateur interpretation of it. No.
The persons concerned will benefit by the provisions of Article 49 and cannot be deported.
You understand that you cannot justify the mass rape of Palestinian prisoners in fucking concentration camps by citing your own made-up interpretation of Article 41, Article 42, or whatever other article that you just Googled. Do you understand that, right? He does not, because he goes on like this for the next 5 minutes of the video. And now he gets his gotcha against Hassan. Let's watch it. The gotcha moment.
That he thinks I'm laughing at people being raped. I just want to make everyone aware that this is a misunderstanding, okay? Hassan, if you're listening, that's a misunderstanding, okay? The idea that I was laughing at prisoners being raped, okay? Misunderstanding. I thought the victims were Jewish.
And
I thought the victims were Israeli. That's why I laughed.
First of all, women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And
I don't really know how that one's going to fly. The big difference being that Kamala didn't say anything wrong. She didn't make any dumb comparisons.
She's basically saying something for which there is no evidence of, whereas the mass rape of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli concentration camps is quite well evidenced. It would suck if I had already responded to this in the video that you pertain to be responding to in this fucking lazy ass chopped up 2 weeks later response, wouldn't it? It would fucking suck. Wouldn't that suck? If I can just talking about play a fucking video that came out 2 weeks before you release this to refute you. Lonerbox then attempted to deflect from that by bringing up a clip that him and people like him have been spreading recently. Why can I refute you by going back to a video that was already out 2 weeks before you pretend to be responding to it at Lonerbox? What is wrong with you? How are you like this? Hassan supposedly laughing at what he called raped Jewish women. I will play that clip here.
October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
Okay, so let's compare these two moments. One, Hassan was laughing at a woman bringing up the supposed mass rape by Hamas of Israeli women on October 7th. Here's the thing though. Hassan wasn't laughing at them for being raped. He was laughing at that because there is little to no evidence that it actually happened. The evidence is incredibly sketchy. All of it comes exclusively from a few, very few, individual witness testimonies, most of which are highly inconsistent with later accountings of the same tale. None of these testimonies corroborate each other. There has never been any forensic evidence presented that corroborates any of them. Many of the people who give these testimonies have intimate links to the Israeli state. For example, they are from organizations like Zakat, which works very intimately with the Israeli state. Other testimonies only surfaced far later as part of carefully timed propaganda blitzes by the Israeli state. To put it simply, there is no evidence whatsoever that these testimonies are not simply made up, and they have been utilized by the Israeli state because they simply have no other corroborating evidence. And this is very weird given that the Israelis have a ton of video footage of October 7th, yet on this one point, which their propaganda has been harping on, they have nothing. So Hassan was not laughing at the rape of Jewish women there. And by the way, he did say Jewish in the original video. I have it grilled into my head because he does this all the time. People like him do this all the time. Notice how I'm completely correct there. He did precisely that, literally.
I just want to make everyone aware that this is a misunderstanding, okay? Hassan, if you're listening, that's a misunderstanding, okay? The idea that I was laughing at prisoners being raped, okay? Misunderstanding. I thought the victims were Jewish.
It's all he knows how to fucking do. Fucking loser.
Always emphasize the Jewishness of Israeli people. They always want to paint it as if the only reason why anyone would do anything to an
I should not be able to respond to someone who pretends to be responding to me by referring back to the video that they're responding to. This is so fucking embarrassing.
Really, for any reason, it's just because of their Jewish identity and nothing else. Of course, in order to dishonestly frame opponents of Israel as anti-Semitic. But the point is, Hassan was laughing because there is little to no evidence for that claim, and it is a core part of the Israeli genocide justifying propaganda. They use it constantly to justify the genocide in Gaza, to kill those kids who got shot in the head. Meanwhile, the evidence of Palestinians being mass raped in Israeli concentration camps, in comparison, is so much better. There's so much more of it that it's honestly a joke to even compare the two. Not only are there multiple witnesses who corroborate the same events, but Israel itself...
I don't even need to say anything to refute you, Lonerbox. What's the issue? How does anyone watch him, honestly?
Actually acknowledge what was happening. Israelis held pro-rape rallies because they thought the rape was actually good. Israeli politicians talked about how the people who were raped deserved it openly. And despite the fact this happened in, a concentration camp, a prison, we have video evidence of it.
Okay, you get the fucking point, right? What else has he got to say for himself in this epic video? That was the end of the first video. That was like the last point. In this video, he responded to 3 total points that I made against him. In one of them, he edited out the evidence of what I was saying. In another one, he came up with this new ridiculous argument about semantics regarding the sort of weaponry that was used to kill the kids, which doesn't change anything. Then his last point was to deflect from him laughing at Palestinians being raped by accusing Hassan of laughing at Jewish women being raped, as he called it. It is such a fucking joke. The rest of this video is just him going over the classic bad empanada tweets.
This is just perfectly fucking acceptable.
Complaining that I said, settlers in the Gaza envelope, that they are settlers. By the way, that's very funny that he would bring that up, given that Ethan Klein, in his discussion with Lonerbox, outright said that he thinks West Bank settlers are valid targets, which is very funny. I wonder if Lonerbox agreed with him on that. I'm pretty sure he did. Because if a West Bank settler on the frontier is a valid target, how is a Gaza envelope settler not? How not? It's the same fucking thing.
I agree. On the West Bank, these people are
when you talk about like colonial settlers and stuff, like that's what's actually happening in the West Bank right now. And these people are like, I mean, more or less valid military targets, in my opinion, right? But in Israel proper, as you describe it,
Lonerbox does not seem to disagree with that. He just doesn't say anything. Like what Lonerbox is doing, he's engaging in an attempt to sort of clean up his image after he got called out for the wanton Zionism. And now Ethan Klein can say that to him when like he literally like after this happened, the day after this happened, he uploaded a video complaining about me for saying that Gaza envelope settlers are just as valid targets as anyone in the West Bank. God, Ethan fucking Klein. Ethan Klein, for the sake of like trying to posture to like as not a Zionist, will say things that he just doesn't even believe. Like he does not think that West Bank settlers are valid targets. He does not think that. There's no fucking way that he thinks that. There's no fucking way that Lonerbox agrees with that. Lonerbox fucking complained that I didn't like that I like said that some fucking colonial settler living on the frontier with Gaza, that I don't give a fucking shit what happens to them. I still don't. You live in fucking Israel. You could live anywhere else in Israel, but you choose to live in the settlement strategically chosen for its defensive value by the IDF. Like you will see. The last half of the last 15 minutes of the video is just him doing the classic look at bad empanada tweets, look at Reddit posts complaining about bad empanada. You are a colonial settler living in a military settlement 5 kilometers from the colonial frontier. You choose to live there in order to be a human shield for colonialism, just like a frontier settler in the 19th century US. Yes, absolutely. I would say that to the face of any Israeli settler. They should email me, get into contact with me, and we'll meet up and I'll say it directly to their face again. So it's literally just the truth. I'd love to see him try to argue. Like even Ethan Klein thinks that. Ethan Klein said that frontier settlers in the West Bank are valid targets. How does that not also apply to Gaza? It obviously does. Ethan Klein even asked Lonerbox, what's the difference? Let's see.
Proper as you describe it, what would you say? Because I think a lot of these activists would say, well, actually, Israel's all stolen land. So what's the difference between the West Bank and like around Gaza, the kibbutz team around Gaza?
If you're Americans say that, like, okay, so you would actually be fine if a Native American decided, okay, it's time, we're taking it back. We won't actually take it back. We know we won't take it back, but what we could do is we can just...
This analogy is incredibly disingenuous as well.
I mean, yeah, it's not even close to being like a realistic scenario. But if it was, I don't know. I wouldn't be very harsh on it. That's for goddamn sure. And I wouldn't support like the genociding of the further genociding of Native Americans. The thing is, like, they've been genocided. They've been genocided so they don't rise up and take it back. There's a connection. Don't you get it? Connection. Everyone wants their home, and colonialists want to take everything from everyone else. They like to spread like a virus. European settlers. Western settlers, probably more accurate. Not all from Europe. Probably from like good old US of A. Ethan.
Controlling Bravo.
He wants to pretend like Israel's just like all these, like, it's just full of Arabs, basically people who were born in Israel. When he is like a perfect example of an Israeli, an American born.
Firing Archangel.
Hello. I didn't get anybody? I didn't mind anybody hit me? Oh, good shot.
Securing C.
Well, because he's talking about frontier settlements on the frontier between Gaza and Israel, and West Bank settlements on the frontier between territory that is still lived in by Palestinians and territory that is stolen by the settlers. We're not talking about like Native Americans randomly going to attack some random thing. Like 200 years after the consolidation of settler colonialism. We're talking about like 1820. A guy heading as far west as he can and taking a Native American plot of land. And then being like, what? I'm under attack? How could this possibly happen? That's what we're talking about here. These guys don't even know what they're comparing to.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, the idea of Israel being stolen, that's where you get into a bit of a difficult territory there.
No, you don't.
Comes to Israel being stolen land. When people talk about colonialism and Zionism, and maybe like farther left people don't really see eye to eye with me on this at all, I think when people try to make these comparisons, I don't think it's very helpful to compare Israel, like Israeli colonialism, which I think is real. I don't think it's worth comparing it to something like to Algeria under France or British-run Kenya, because the difference is that a colony is like a place that is controlled by a mother state that sends...
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That has the colony there on its behalf with the goal of
South Africa
and exploiting the locals.
Everyone knows what fucking settler colonialism is at this point, dude. You notice how it's all semantics, Jim? It's all semantics. It's just semantics. Like, I created my own definition, and I've decided that magically this thing does not fit into my definition, therefore it's not colonialism. Destroyed. Owned.
That's the goal, right? Jewish people, in large part, didn't go to historic Palestine because they wanted to enslave locals and plunder the land.
How were they going to get land without getting the natives off it? Explain that to us. He's not even answering the question either. The question was, the question that Ethan asked him, and I don't think Ethan's smart enough to notice this guy's not answering his question. The question asked to him was, what is the difference between settlers in the West Bank and settlers in the Gaza envelope? And Lonabox did not actually respond. What are you even talking about at this point? It's so far off from what the question that was asked that we're not even on the same subject anymore. So anyway, so like the rest of his video is just like googling bad ends, not a bad tweet. I think my favorite one is like just like in Japan, a nuclear bomb is needed to stop Israel. And then he goes over complaining about Hassan for saying that Hassan like literally the last 15 minutes of the video are dedicated to nothing but trying to delegitimize the people who are shitting on him by comparing things that are not comparable. Like Hassan said that it's good to blockade shipping from genocide-aligned countries until they stop doing genocide. Really? Oh man, you got us there. You sure showed us. Unfucking believable. Like the entire rest of the video is just complaining about fucking tweets and not even responding to the video. So Lonabox's response. Let's go over the things that he actually responded to in this response. So the first point in my original video was the children shot in the head. He responded to that by just talking about sniping, talking about why they sniped or were they killed by normal soldiers with regular rifles. No one cares. That's not the problem. The problem is the kid shot in the head. Then he ignored the next clip in the video, which was about him denying the fact that the 40 beheaded babies claim was spread by the Israeli state, because he was proven wrong of that with definitive evidence. He knows that he could not respond to it. So he skipped over that entirely. Then he skipped over the Jetsy Hollywood claim clip, skipped over that entirely. Obviously doesn't want to show his audience the sort of people who he consorts with. Then he skipped over his denial of the systemic use of Palestinians being used as human shields. Then he addressed this part, but he edited out the part that really showed how bad he was by claiming that Hassan did the same thing. When Hassan did not, he didn't actually address his rape denial. He rather tried to justify it by citing international law. Then in the response to him, he did not address the first part of the video, which shows him and Destiny like laughing about genocide. He did not address the points, the response to him on his initial argument regarding the kids being shot. He did not address especially the part where I refuted his ridiculous gotcha argument. He tried to address me saying that he did amateur forensic analysis of the children shot in the head by editing out the part of the video where he did that He did not respond to my rebuttal to him regarding the Palestinian prisoners being raped, which included, by the way, me citing a video from his own channel to show that. And he did not respond to my rebuttal to him dishonestly comparing him laughing at the factually far beyond any reasonable doubt proven mass rape of Palestinians by Israel with the far less proven supposed rape of Israelis on October 7th. As far as responses go, this might be the first response in YouTube history that was debunked before it was uploaded by the video that it pertains to be responding to. He responded to like 3 out of like 10 total points, flubbed all of them, and just ignored the rest of it. And then he's like, okay, I've totally owned this guy. I totally proved him wrong. I defended myself. It's done. Yeah, man, you sure are lied about in that video that dealt with every single thing that you said and played extensive clips of you clearly finishing what you were saying.
Take it, Alpha. They're taking C. Go to Alpha Capture. Losing A. Lost Alpha.
Awaiting your order.
Controlling Bravo.
Scout pulse is online. Get a watchdog helo on the grid.
Avenger 1-6 entering KOR. Thanks out.
Damn it, lost the lead. You're an Alpha. Take it, Alpha.
Enemy spotted.
Hostile down.
So I've been thinking about making this video for a while, and I was really wondering how much effort should I put into it. I know that's a bad thing to say as a YouTuber, but like, should I really research and go through everything to expose Ethan Klein allegedly not being as against extremism as he would say, or should I just play the stuff I know? I'm going to go for that because there's other things I want to focus like a more structured video on. But yeah, basically, when I made a video about Ethan Klein's crusade against Hassan for being like some sort of rabid anti-Semite, one thing that caught my eye and I found particularly hilarious, obviously someone who's a bit older, been watching YouTube for a long time, been YouTubing myself since 2017, Ethan Klein said he has always been fighting extremism online, right? So this guy has been a crusader against extremism, no matter if it's left-wing or right-wing, he's just against it. And he's been like our strongest soldier against especially like right-wing extremism. So when he has heat to the left, that's just him being like a real great fighter against radical elements on both sides. So I have the post here, right? And this was so insane. So he was talking about, you know, Hassan just being an extremist. And he said, when I made the show with Hassan, I genuinely thought he was just a social democrat progressive like me. I mean, even you saying that like yourself is really funny. I had no idea his politics were so radical. That's my fault. 90% of the time he's shitting on Republicans, and that's what I had seen, but his politics are like a Trojan horse, a veneer of reasonability with extremely radical views hidden within. The cracks began to appear when we started talking about Ukraine, Taiwan, and Tibet. Once I noticed, it all began to fall apart. I'd be interested to hear like your problems with what you said about Tibet. I hold myself accountable for anyone from my audience that was radicalized by him, which is why I'm doing what I can to undo the damage. I've come to see Hassan as MAGA for the left, spinning alternate realities to fit the dogmatic view of the world. As someone who's been fighting extremism for many years, absolute fucking lie and just so funny. Funniest thing he's probably ever said. I cannot look the other way when it comes from my side of the aisle. Absolutely insane. He thinks Hassan is like some, you know, far left extremists. But let's just start with what he went on to say recently. Him and Hila Klein praised Yoav Galant, right? And Ethan said, well, I don't know much about him, before going on to then defend him calling Palestinians animals as he started to justify the invasion of Gaza, right?
Yeah, Bibi like talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah,
so.
Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice in the war room.
Yeah.
And he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy. Just recognize his picture. He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
No, it's not.
So he goes on to defend not only his wife for saying this, but defend some of the horrible things Galant has said while saying that Hassan is purity testing people who might be secular and still support Zionism, right? If they are like you, then yeah, he should be purity testing anyone who thinks like this. So he says, Hila doesn't know a lot about politics, but she knows that Galant is opposed to Netanyahu and wants to end the war. That's why she said he's a good guy. He wants to end the war. She's right that it's objectively bad that he got fired. I mean, I wouldn't say that. And then a quote where Galant called Palestinians human animals and saying there will be no electricity, food or fuel, which is actually like a war crime. Like he's saying, I'm going to do war crimes. This is on October 8th. Ethan defends this saying, this quote is from the 8th and it's a direct response to October 7th. I think it's reasonable assumption that he was talking about the Hamas militants that killed civilians. Either way, this is the guy in his war cabinet that wanted to end the war, and he was just fired. If you care about war ending, then you agree with Hila. Already, that one thing is more extreme than anything Hassan has ever said. You're literally supporting a war criminal and supporting the rhetoric of a war criminal. Your wife then says a war criminal is a good guy. You're saying he's a moderating voice, and then you double down on that. This is a war criminal. It's like you telling me that Rommel was a good guy in Nazi Germany and was some sort of moderate. Even if he was a moderate, by their standards, he's still a Nazi, right? So you even saying that makes you more extreme than Hassan, so that's absolutely hilarious. But Ethan Klein seems to like have his brain like scrambled. Does he not remember his whole history? He has been like an edgy comedian for a long, long time. Now, if you guys don't remember this, there are multiple podcasts of Ethan Klein sitting around with iDubbbz and other people just saying slurs, like the N-word and stuff, right? I don't think anyone who fights extremism on both sides is sitting around shouting the N-word on their own podcast. But that is just one thing. So Ethan Klein probably thinks he's been fighting extremism because this is his stance on Black Lives Matter back in like 2015, 2016, right? And can I remind people, this man is like middle-aged now. So when I'm showing you older clips from like 8 years ago, this isn't like a 21-year-old or something or a 19-year-old. This is like a nearly 40-year-old man saying this stuff. Again, a guy who thinks Hassan is so radical. He's the arbiter of what's extreme, despite him and his wife calling a legit war criminal some sort of moderate.
Yesterday, we made the mistake of almost talking about politics, and we basically triggered so many people. I was actually shocked. This time, we spoke about the Black Lives Matter and a Joey Salads experiment, but when it's something as politically charged as a race and Black Lives Matter, it's really f***ed up. We never expressed an opinion. We never expressed support for Black Lives Matter. Yet, if you look at the comments, they are insane. We made a video making fun of crazy feminists, and all the people on the left were coming and calling us Trump supporters, that we were a haven for the alt-right, and we're unsubbing and getting triggered. And here's my point. Each side hates each other so much that they're so clouded by hate and judgment that nobody listens. In both of those videos, we never even expressed any opinion about either side. This show is about rational thought. It's about cutting through the ball, whether you're on the left or the right. This is not
10v10, you think?
Show, and it
I
never
don't know,
has
man.
been. We're about cutting.
I'm like 6v6, 10v10. I liked 10v10 in Modern Warfare games because the maps are big and dumb. But you just prestige in this game in BO6. I just got the second prestige in X Defiant too. Their prestige system seems a little glitchy though. It's a little strange. Like the slots get locked up, and I don't know. Obviously, it's never gonna get fixed. But congratulations on prestiging. Well, welcome to the Prestige crew. Yeah.
Cutting through the bullshit. In this climate, it's like you can't say anything anymore. Each side, the left and right, see each other as the devil, not as like human beings with compassion and people who are worth listening to and trying to understand. Because Joey Salds faked an experiment, and they couldn't even handle the thought of us not absolutely blasting Black Lives Matter. We didn't say a word of support, but the fact that we didn't blast them was enough for them to unsub, downvote the video. You're welcome to hate Black Lives Matter. I don't like a lot of the shit they do either. But you want to base your beliefs on a fake social experiment? At least if you want to hate Black Lives Matter, which is perfectly fine. God bless you. Do it on something real. Okay? Go find a real reason.
So can I just remember the words Ethan Klein used? I have been fighting extremism for many years. Here is him basically trying to be a centrist between Black Lives Matter and racists, and basically saying, I don't have an opinion either way. I'm the centrist in this, and Black Lives Matter, you know, I have problems with them as well. Is Black Lives Matter back then, were they considered extremists? I mean, I guess they were if you were right wing. But yeah, that's where he's coming at it from. Like, I am the center, both sides are bad. And that's back in 2016. Again, fighting extremism for many, many years. So he also had this podcast that seemed to love platforming mostly right-wing people if they got political. He had Jordan Peterson on twice, and of course they were like shitting on the left. Now, I would always have considered Jordan Peterson an extreme voice. People who didn't back in the day were just deluding themselves. I've made videos, I think like one of my first controversial videos I made in 2017 calling Jordan Peterson like a legit misogynist, right? So he's always been more extreme in his views, and even though he used to be able to phrase it a bit better, like what he was talking about, I would always say he was more extreme than Hassan, at the very least. So if you've got a problem with Hassan now, you'd think you'd always have a problem with Jordan Peterson, not getting him on your podcast to agree with him loads. To be fair, back in 2017, I would definitely say Ethan Klein could have changed by then. But if you're making the point you have fought extremism for many, many years, then I'm using your own standards. Many, many years. I consider many, many years to be like, let's say 7 years. Let's use that metric, right? But here's an even worse one, right? Ethan Klein was big friends of JonTron back in the day. They used to work for him, or Hilo Klein used to work for him. Now, of course, the only good thing Destiny ever did on the internet was debate JonTron, where he just went like mask off, like full fascist, like not even trying to dog whistle really, literally just saying the most like unhinged far right stuff. But because the internet was different back then, everyone just acted like it wasn't a big deal, but this guy just outed himself as like a legit 4chan like poll user, basically.
Support all of the poor people, because poor whites commit a lot of crime too, disproportionately compared to wealthier whites.
That's just not true. But
wait, hold on, wait. You don't think that?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, yes. In relative.
In relative terms, yes.
In relative to wealthy whites, yes.
Sure. Okay, so you think that poor blacks probably commit more crime relative to wealthier black people?
They do. Wealthy blacks also commit more crime than poor whites. That's a fact.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look it up.
Where are these movements of Mexicans trying to get, what, Texas to go back to Mexico?
When you have these illegals coming up and getting so bold to say, try deporting me, Trump, people see themselves, I'm assuming, as Mexican. I don't know that they come here and the soil magically turns them into Thomas Jefferson's direct descendant. So why is it that white people, especially white Americans,
are you Thomas Jefferson's direct descendant?
It's racist.
Because you're talking about displacement.
But don't worry, once he did this, Ethan Klein, the extremism fighter, gave him a platform on his podcast where they had like a nice friendly chat. And they even talked about this. They even talked about him going full mask off fascist. And many, many years extremism fighter who praises war criminals, what did he have to say about this?
I'm sure people want to know about this, so I'll just get it out of the way. Because I haven't talked about it since then, for good reasons. I don't really want to get into this. It's a minefield of sorts. I'm not going to go back and retake everything I said and qualify it or anything. All I'm going to say is, that, yeah, in that moment, I was, you know, going into something that I needed a lot more time to prep for. I just went in guns blazing because I, you know, you get a little arrogant sometimes, I guess. You think, like, take this guy to task. But, you know, like, obviously I understand, like, why people had the reaction that they did. So, you know, I felt bad about the incident in a sense, but, like, I also just feel bad that we can't talk about these things without witch hunting each other.
Right.
Because, it, you know, that's basically my full statement.
Okay. I mean, did you say you feel like you said some things that you regret?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Well, let me just say for the record, like, that I disagree with a lot of the stuff you said, you know. But I still think, like, it's if you genuinely feel a certain way, or some people genuinely feel a certain way, the correct way to deal with it is not to, like, prevent them from saying it.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of that.
We should be able to talk about it. Like, even if we strongly disagree, but I think that we should still be able to talk about it. I mean, I don't know. It's so tricky. Like,
it's tricky. And by the way,
is it an impossible task for someone as a fan? If you say something they really disagree with, is it an impossible task for them to be like, I'm trying to get in the mind. I really disagree with that. I hate what he says, but I still love him as a person and as an entertainer. I guess that's a timeless question.
I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say the current social climate is insane.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And the only way we'll ever get past it is just talking about stuff.
I'm not defending what you said. I disagree with a lot of the said, but that's fine. Like,
but
it's
we
okay.
can still be
yeah,
friends.
I like that's part of the problem is that people were like, I can't believe that you're still friends with John. And I'm like, why? He's the same person. Like, I love him. He's a good friend of mine. Like, we can talk about this stuff amongst each other and try to find a common ground. Right? Like, it's way better to have a conversation and try to understand each other. Otherwise, you just end up with these segregated groups of people who hate each other.
Yeah.
Like, you really expect me to just be like, you said something that I disagree with and I can't talk to you anymore. Like, that's how sick is that?
Yeah, I agree.
So just for context there, right? John Tron went full mask off Nazi. Ethan Klein says, I disagree. We can still be friends. We can still talk about these things. I'm not going to get rid of you because you were an extremist, right? Hassan never said anything that extreme. Never ever said anything that extreme. And you burned your entire relationship with him and then started a massive campaign to try and end his streaming career because you said he was extreme. Why the double standard? Could it be that you're the one with more extreme opinions? You support war criminals. You support Israel. You support the state of settler colonialism and apartheid. So much so you went there and decided you wanted to become part of it. You wanted to become a citizen. I am saying that is more extreme than anything Hassan has said. And me and Hassan, of course, we share a lot of beliefs. Obviously, I'm not in his mind. I don't know, everything he said. He said some crazy shit as well. But also, even Brian, you said some crazy shit. You said some crazy shit. What did you say about Aaron Bushnell? Straight after he died, in a private little stream that you thought no one would see. What did you say about Ben Shapiro? I hate Ben Shapiro. What you said was fucking insane. And people would say that's extreme. So we've got you praising war criminals, that thing you said about Ben Shapiro. Then we have you also downplaying an actual fascist coming on your podcast, having loads of fascists on your podcast, like fascist adjacent people, like Jordan Peterson and glazing him. And again, by your own standard, if you said, I used to be more like controversial, right-wing, all that stuff, and I decided that is bad for the internet, so I've decided in recent years I'm going to change and fight extremism, that would be one thing. You saying you are the extremism fighter for many, many years is absolutely fucking bullshit, and you normalise so much of this. If you're having Jordan Peterson on your podcast followed up by JonTron after he's outed himself as a fascist, and you're normalising all their views, you've done way more damage to the internet culture than someone like Hassan has. And again, this is all based around one issue. You're now shitting on him for Ukraine, Taiwan, Tibet. You had no problem with that shit. It's because he's gone against Israel, now you care. You bring on people on your podcast who have no problem going to Israel and planning around with Zionist extremists. People who did half a sociology degree and read Wikipedia. they're the experts because they believe what you say, but Hassan is a left-wing extremist, and he's basically like the left-wing version of Donald Trump or something, right? Absolutely insane. And the fact that you think you have any moral high ground on extremism, building your career on edgy humor, building your career on racism against black people, which included saying the N-word loads, building your career on platforming some of the most toxic people on the internet and downplaying how bad they were, building your career on just being like some edgelord comedian who said way more extreme things than most people on the internet, only to turn around and start calling Hassan an extremist because he criticizes Israel, while you're praising some of the architects of what happened in Gaza as moderates. If you think Yoav Galan is a moderating voice and what he said on October 8th wasn't bad, what does that say about your own politics? You're not some sort of moderate. You're not some person who has any high ground on morality and politics. You're basically someone who's had their brain broken and has been spending too much time talking to Destiny fans and Destiny because people are challenging your ideology where, yes, you joined the Israeli state voluntarily because you like what you saw. And now people are calling you out for that. And you can't handle it because deep down, I think you know, yeah, Israel as a construct is a bad thing. You're bad for becoming a citizen of Israel by choice, even though you were born in America. And I guess now you decided just to double down because you can't take any criticism. And the only people you'll get in your podcast to talk about this are people who you know will agree with you. So I thought I'd just make this video because I always thought it was hilarious. And this thing caught my eye, especially him thinking he's ever fought extremism. You have done nothing but normalize extreme voices, and you've said more extreme things than most people. You have no moral high ground. Even if Hassan was some crazy radical Maoist, you have no high ground on him at all. So that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching.
Revelations and executed on for. They'll learn about him sharing the news of the baby girl the not at all visibly pregnant Brooke had apparently delivered not long after they first searched her apartment. Needless to say, at this point the penny truly dropped, and investigators realized just what a nightmare they were tasked with getting to the bottom of. A search warrant was promptly issued following these revelations and executed on the morning of August 24th. With no notice to hide the baby this time, she was discovered very shortly after police entered the apartment, but still no sign of Savannah. Brooke Cruz was arrested immediately, and Will Hain apprehended at work shortly thereafter. Police had a lot of questions for both, but Brooke was the clear priority.
I'm Nicky again. I'm not from the department or not. This is Josh. So we're both with the police department. Obviously we executed a search warrant in your house. And just kind of want to talk with you about the circumstances. No Savannah? Not very well, no. I mean, nobody in the apartment building, like, knows
Keep an eye out.
Brooke Cruz really is something to behold. Not in the sense that she acts like some sort of cartoonish villain.
Location secure. Maintain current posture. They're taking C. We've taken control.
Investing in talent is investing in the
Charlie.
future. Elon, this was in response to Elon saying there's a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley. To which Elon responded, no, we need more like double that number yesterday. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the USA is far too low. Think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be.
5 down.
We're losing Alpha.
Here, you can pull that chair over there.
Charlie.
Cover me. Taking the objective.
Yeah, Chad is saying don't come in. You gross. You want to do banana peels later? I said Bancourt.
Attack on. Get a watchdog helo overhead.
Stop apologizing.
Sorry,
guys. What's up? Alright. Alice is here.
I'm
What's
going
up?
to see Nosferatu.
Oh, you are? When are you going to see it?
At 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
Okay, nice. Alright, have fun. Alright, so
wait, there's one other thing I wanted to say.
Maybe
though.
we won't do banana peels then.
Well, we could do it. Well, we're going to do something cool on Saturday, I think, but I'm not telling them what we're doing.
Fire it out,
We shouldn't tell them.
What the fuck am I wait. Oh, Joe Rogan. You're gonna go on Joe Rogan, right? We're working on that, right? You're gonna go on Joe Rogan.
Who's we working on it? Why do you come in here to just spread lies?
Guys, Hassan's gonna go on Joe Rogan.
Is that why you came in here?
Yeah, just to announce it. To say Hassan Piker is gonna go on Joe Rogan.
I'm not going on Joe Rogan. I don't know why he's saying this shit.
That's gonna happen.
I'm gonna cut your face off with more posts.
I'm going out with Nandre and Spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my real boys. He is hot. He's got great hair.
Yeah, he's really hot.
Okay, Chad. I love you guys.
He's also a voice actor. Yeah. Nandre's really hot too. Nandre's Marvel Rivals account is called Real Hassan Piker.
Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, go have fun with your real friends.
Those are my real friends because they go with me to the movies.
Go have fun with your real friends while I work. My hands look like this, so you can go watch your Nosferatu.
Thank you,
okay?
Can I have money?
Yeah.
Can I have money to go out?
You're my sugar baby.
Thank you. That means so much.
The objective. Stay sharp.
Okay,
anyway,
bye. Sorry.
Wait, are you done? I wanted to look at. Do you want to cover the story with me? Elon Musk. There are a lot of there's some infighting happening. The Russians are fighting amongst one another.
There's a post about I'm a good. Did you see that post?
The Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are obviously they're obviously defending the H-1B visas. And a lot of the racist right wingers, including Sam Hyde.
Oh, thank you for talking about it.
Yeah, well, we don't want or need to turn this country into India, he says. And everyone is mad at Elon Musk and Vivek because they're Silicon Valley tech bros. And as Silicon Valley tech bros, of course they love the H-1B visas. Sure. Because that's like most of their workforce. So many of them abuse the H-1B visas, of course. Elon Musk very famously fired basically every single person with the exception of the H-1B visa workers when he purchased Twitter. Because if you are an immigrant working in the United States of America on an H-1B visa, well, obviously if you lose your job, you can get deported. So you are infinitely more likely to work the long hours necessary for you. They also see it as a discount, given that the currency exchange, if you're sending money back home, given the currency exchange rate, you are willing to take a pay cut because ultimately you're still sending a lot of money back home overall. It is a relatively abusive structure. Now, of course, the way to fix that is by normalizing payments through legislation to ensure that those who are on an H-1B visa still have to be paid in the same exact way that documented Americans on a W-9 or a 1099 employee should be getting paid. But, of course, you can't do that without unions.
Is that the form the CIA gives you?
Yeah. No, I'm a 1099 employee for the CIA. I'm a contractor. I'm a contractor, not a full-time employee for the CIA. Yeah.
Wait, did you see the post that was like, I'm one of the good ones? Did you pull that one?
I did not see that.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I feel like I saw this morning.
What is this? You messed up, dude. You lied and told us you were base. Plus, I think you're personally shorting me on the X revenue. So let's get an engineer on that. A common complaint. I mean, all of these losers, all of these like right-wing losers on Twitter are chirping at Elon Musk right now. Dinesh D'Souza. Oh, hell yeah.
This one.
There are good and bad Indians. I'm obviously one of the good ones. I suspect this Sharam guy is too. On the other hand, these two Indians pictured below were an intrinsic part of the censorship regime on social media. I wish we could deport them.
It's fucking crazy. I have nothing to say. I wanted to know if you saw this.
Dude, Indian Twitter goes hard. I went down a rabbit hole the other day of a dude from Bangladesh talking about how like Albanians are monkeys, and and that those in Bangladesh like are actually infinite, like they are of a higher race than everyone else in the continent. Like it's always so funny because like the way that white people perceive every brown person, like these guys will never understand it, I guess.
In a lot of ways, I mean, we kind of talked about this yesterday.
Like they don't care. They just for the average white racist guy in America, you think they make a distinction between like castes or whatever? No, they just see you as like a guy who's gonna blow them up with an explosive vest. They don't know.
Have we ever talked about the legal construction of whiteness on here? I feel like maybe we did.
I have, yeah. I mean, I have talked about it quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Wow, so woke.
I mean, yeah.
God, let's all clap for Hassan Piker.
Elon is getting ratioed by his own favorite Nazi account, which is so cool. Silicon Valley's biggest limitation, engineering talent shortage. The U.S. semiconductor industry alone needs over 160,000 engineers by 2032, driven by $250 billion in new investments. Demands for AI experts have skyrocketed, with Elon calling the talent war the craziest ever. Meanwhile, STEM programs struggle to produce enough graduates. This shortage threatens innovation from AI to semiconductors, slowing progress in global competitiveness. Expanding STEM education, streamlining high-skilled immigration, and reskilling workers are urgent solutions. Investing in talent is investing in the future. Elon, this was in response to Elon saying there's a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley. To which Elon responded, no, we need more like double that number yesterday. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the USA is far too low. Think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. That enables the whole team to win. To which Elon's favorite Nazi account. This account is like straight up a by the way. Elon Musk routinely talks to him. Said, there are over 330 million people in America. Surely there must be enough among them to build your ultimate team. Why would you deny real Americans that opportunity by bringing foreigners together? Ratioing Elon Musk.
Damn, I love
And Elon responds with, your understanding of the situation is upside down and backwards. Of course my companies and I would prefer to hire Americans, and we do, as that is much easier than going through the incredibly painful and slow work visa process. However, there is a dire shortage of extremely talented and motivated computers in America. This is not about handing out opportunities that from some magical hat. You don't get it. This is blindingly obvious when looking at NBA teams, as the physical differences are so obvious to see. However, the mental differences between humans are far bigger than the physical differences. It's so funny that these guys who spend most of their time on here talking about how fucking low IQ like Indians are or whatever are legitimately frustrated with Elon Musk being like, no, dude, you don't understand. These guys are much smarter than the average legacy American, which is crazy. And it's not, it has nothing to do with race and IQ, by the way, and everything to do with the fact that, yeah, they love H-1B visa workers because these guys, if they lose their fucking jobs, they will get deported. They don't just lose their health care, which is already a big ass fucking fear that many legacy Americans, white Americans have. But also on top of that, there's additional fears that like they will obviously get deported. Okay? That's it. And they like that because they see it as like an instant 20% pay cut. Okay, that they can use, and also they're more desperate, so he can exploit them further, which is evidenced by the fact that that's precisely what he did when he fired virtually everyone from Twitter and made the rest of the workforce that is desperate not to get deported work overtime to pick up the slack for the rest of the redundancies that he eliminated. Your understanding of the situation is upside down and backwards. It comes down to this. Do you want America to win or do you want America to lose? If you force the world's best talent to play for the other side, America will lose. End of story.
Team deathmatch. Let them have it, Black Ops.
Thank you for standing up for America, Elon.
Yeah. It's so funny. Vivek wrote this like effort post as well, which I'm going to get to. Here's Felix's summarization. This is one of the funniest posts I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a guy misjudge things quite like this. He spent years pretending to laugh at Babylon Bee headlines so we could post this.
Holy shit. So
Vivek
long.
Ramaswamy.
Holy dog.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who, by the way, technically could be denaturalized and deported with the administration that he's a part of's policies, because his parents were not American citizens at the time of his birth on U.S. soil. And one of Trump's policies is to literally denaturalize anchor babies. That Vivek Ramaswamy, who is an anchor baby himself, is a part of the administration that would work on literally deporting him.
God.
Anyway, here's what he had to say. The reason top tech companies,
Oh my
yes,
God.
it's not that long. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born, first-generation engineers over native, in air quotes, Americans, isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions.
That's the C word.
Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're, dude, it's so funny because what these guys are saying, okay, I need you to understand something. Right now, the question in everyone's mind is H-1B visas. That's why these business owners are defending H-1B visas, because they utilize H-1B visa workers. What do you think is going to happen to every small business owner, jet ski dealership owner, restaurant owner, hospitality owner when undocumented migrants are rounded up and mass deported? They are going to chirp in the exact same way that Vivek is chirping right now. This is something that I've talked about already, just so you understand. The reason why these guys are chirping is because they're tech bros and they heavily rely on H-1B visas, okay? H-1B visa workers. That is a cheaper alternative that is easier to exploit, okay? Just like the entirety of our agricultural and construction industry relies on undocumented workers, okay? Again, for the exact same principles, easier to exploit with no legal recourse. They have no way of defending themselves in their workplaces because they're illegally in the on U.S. soil. And what's really interesting about this process is that the only reason why you're hearing them chirp about this is because they hire H-1B visa workers. But inevitably, once mass deportations, if they were actually to be implemented, you would see virtually every single one of these small business Hitlerites turn on the Trump administration overnight. When the Bracero program was implemented in the United States of America, it was the Texas ranchers that were actively hunting down, not the undocumented migrants, actively hunting down federal law enforcement agency officers because they wanted to defend their workers, because they relied on their Mexican background workers. Okay? This is America's recent history, something that many people do not even think about. Things can turn overnight. Things can change over fucking night. Anyway, here's the truth.
I'm ready.
Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long.
Agree.
At least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college. It starts young.
Yup.
A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers.
Speaking of valedictorian, you know who a valedictorian who we all love in this community? That's our favorite. Wow.
We venerate valedictorians.
We gotta venerate valedictorians like Luigi Mangione.
Luigi Mangione. And he's Italian, so he is a person of color.
For sure.
Yeah.
We know that now.
Yeah. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zack and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters.
What the fuck?
Will not. 52,000 likes. Dude, Twitter is so stupid. I think culturally, the Twitter posting culture is so unimaginably busted, so unimaginably broken.
Yeah, it's bad.
That like a person who crafted these sentences can get 50,000 likes. What the hell is going on? Who is this for?
Wait, why does he hate on Corey?
Bro said Urkel deserves more respect. That's why. It's the nerds. It's the nerds that you've overlooked for far too long. And that's why the nerds are rising up. Because guess what? In India, those nerds, they don't get overlooked.
This is such a personal grievance. It's fucking crazy. So he was watching Saved by the Bell, absolutely fuming at what was happening to Screech.
This is literally the Black Twitter meme of the nerd who's like, I'm going to become your landlord in the future. Like the sexy girl or whatever with the nerd. Someone's got to have that fucking meme ready to go. You know what I mean? Beat it, chick.
I think that this whole thing for him started, he was thinking already about Saved by the Bell and Urkel and fuming and just fucking furious. And he's like, this is just like that. This is just like that every fucking time.
Great academics are leaving for China. People like Xing-Tung Yao, who literally given the title Emperor of Math, left Harvard to teach in China because he felt slighted by the people in the field. Americans want to keep up in the field, but are racist towards people who want to contribute. Yeah, China is becoming the next brain drain, from what I understand. Yeah, don't worry, baby. He's just a nerd. Why do they always pick thugs years later? Hey, baby, remember me? Beat it, chick. Why can't I find a good man?
Oh, and she's pregnant also.
This is exactly, this is what he did. He posted this.
I don't like it. Oh, see. Yeah, sure.
He's low-key spitting if you take the incel tone out of it. Culture that emphasizes academics definitely plays a huge role in this. Dude, it's not a culture that emphasizes academia, okay? You don't have to literally have like a Confucianist approach historically for your 1,000-year empire in order to arrive at this. You just have to fund fucking schools, dude. But of course, Americans are so...
Oh, sorry.
What? Go ahead.
Sorry. And I mean, allow people to fucking live. Allow people a moment of rest in this world. You know how many fucking Mozarts do we lose because of the way the world is set up? These people are exhausted. They can't thrive in this fucking horrible capitalist hellscape. Are you fucking serious? They talk about, exceptionalism, all this other bullshit. It's because all the people that are here are fucking exhausted. They don't fucking get any rest. There's no fucking third spaces. There's nowhere to go. Everything is fucking criminalized. Fuck these people.
Yeah, and these are the people who are most responsible for this destruction too, because of short-term profit seeking. That where every corner there's an opportunity of investment. Every corner there's an opportunity for privatization. Every corner there is a way to make money. We have engineered society in a way to basically have perma brain drain, hopefully, to make up for what we lack. And then now this guy's like, oh, you don't understand. It's the culture. It's not the culture.
He's
it's
also
not because you're
talking
not
about the fucking culture is fucking Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, he's like, the nerds didn't get enough pussy in high school. That's why, it's we have to keep hiring nerds from India. It's like, okay, dude, sure.
Oh my God, keep going. Go to the Whiplash.
Yeah, now you like it.
I do like it now, yeah.
More movies like really Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is incredible. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Okay, I also need to mention something here. It's literally money, okay? It's money. It's how much money in wages that have not kept up with productivity that you are willing to let your workers have, okay? And I always use the example of teachers. No one becomes a teacher in this country because they want to fucking make the buku bucks. They become a teacher because they love the profession. And there is this same principle applies virtually across every sector with the exception of finance and maybe a couple different ones where you still can make a shit ton of money. Okay? Virtually every fucking sector in this country, you have to love your job and you have to genuinely be passionate about what you are doing. And this is included, but not limited to, the sector of engineering at this point. 20 years in the past, 30 years in the past, engineering was seen as a golden bracelet profession, okay? It was seen as something that you did and you could make a lot of money over it. And I know from personal experiences that even on the engineering side, even if you are a fucking rocket scientist, okay? Even if you are literally a rocket scientist, the thing that keeps you going is not the money that you are making, which again is nowhere near what you would think it is, but it is absolutely the genuine, real passion you have for the craft, for the work that you're putting out there. Okay? We are literally in every sector, including historically high-paid sectors, relying on people and their own personal passions to make this fucking, to make this economy continue creating unimaginable profits for those at the tippy top who don't actually have any sort of output, who don't actually provide any sort of value whatsoever, aside from the upfront capital that they give to these companies in the form of purchasing stocks, in the form of becoming shareholders. Okay, they never touch the factory floor. They never are a part of the assembly. They do not care about any of the product itself. They only care about the profits that they can generate year over year. Okay,
but the good news is there's a secret bank account out there that you can access.
What is? I don't know why you're showing me this right now. I wasn't even talking about anyone. All right, what were you going to say? Secret bank account.
If you're a sovereign citizen,